ground getting comfortable now? Starting to fit just right? Sit there. Look at all those people around you. Get acquainted.
This is Soul Zodiac. Astrology. Astrology is a religious science of the mind.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richard Frediani. I'm chair of the RTS Northwest Student Conference and Student Awards. And first of all, can I welcome you all to the Compass Rooms in the Lowry for this year's RTS Northwest Student Conference. It's always great when the room is full. When you see a load of empty chairs, you worry that everybody who's promised to come for the day won't make it. I hope you're going to enjoy this afternoon. Just before we begin, a little bit of a health and safety notice. We aren't expecting any fire alarms. We aren't expecting any drills. So if one goes off, it will be a real evacuation. So please do take notice of it and follow the emergency signs out. The room can get quite warm. We will attempt to open the doors during the afternoon, but I would suggest that if you're wearing coats, you may want to take them off, as you may find you'll get warm as the day goes on. We have 4 sessions and a networking session for you to take part in today, and hopefully you'll get something out of all of them, and certainly at least one of them. Later on, we'll be doing Soap in a Week, which is a review of an initiative that ITV did with Coronation Street, where they created a soap in a week. I'm delighted that John Whiston, who's MD of ITV in the North, will be taking part, plus he's promised to bring along Conor McIntyre, who some of you may know plays the baddie Pat Phelan in Coronation Street as one of his guests. We'll be looking at virtual reality and whether is VR the future of TV. Sarah Jones will be taking that session. We'll be giving you some tips and advice on how to get into the industry, and we'll have 2 guests from ITV, one involved in social media and one involved in news, who'll be taking your questions and giving you some advice on how to get into the industry. And the first session, which we'll start off with shortly, will be led by the team from Hollyoaks, who will be explaining how Hollyoaks is using social media to exploit its brand and to reach an audience, particularly an audience of your age. There's also a networking session where you'll be able to meet people from all different parts of the industry. You know, we're lucky that Media City is just on the doorstep. So the ability to meet people from both in front of the camera and behind the camera who work in many different levels and different areas. And I would encourage you hugely to use that, because one of the best tips you can get in this industry is make contacts. And often from making those contacts, that's where you'll often get your first break. We will be streaming part of this conference on Facebook, not all of it, but parts of it. So by all means, if you've got friends who can't make it today, or if you want to watch parts of it later on, or indeed if you want to share it with your friends, then go to facebook.com/RTS Northwest, where this conference will be streamed. And of course, I would encourage all of you, comments good and bad, thoughts and opinions, otherwise, do take part in Twitter and use the hashtag RTSNW to do that. Later on this evening, I know some of you will stick around for it, and again, we'll have a similar number, if not more, for this evening. We have the annual RTS Northwest Student Awards, which take place every February. And certainly, if you've not entered this year, or if you weren't an entry this year or a nominee, then do think about it in future years. We've had people who have won those awards, who've gone on to win BAFTAs and even been nominated for an Oscar in the past. So it's something that can often be the start to a very successful career. But, as I said, our first session today is all about Hollyoaks, and I'm delighted that Alan Toner, who is the Digital Creative Director at Lime Pictures, who don't just make Hollyoaks, Towie amongst others in the brands that they make, but who's here to speak about Hollyoaks. So if Alan and his team can come to the stage for the first session this afternoon. Thank you.
Cheers, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, you all right? Always nice being the first to go up. So yeah, we are the digital team from Hollyoaks. My name's Alan. I'm the digital creative director for Lime Pictures. Work under Rachel Hardy, who's our head of multi-platform and press. And Lime Digital is a branch of Lime Pictures. We've got offices in Liverpool, London, Los Angeles. As Richard said, we make The Only Way is Essex, Celebs Go Dating, dramas for Disney, Netflix, and of course, Hollyoaks. Very, very proud to say that Hollyoaks is one of the most digitally active shows in television. And we're very, very lucky that the Hollyoaks digital team is run by these two over here. Charlie is our digital campaigns manager. Graham is our head of video for digital, and Richard's Richard, and he does a bit of acting in the show, and you'll see him in one of our videos in a little bit. The whole aim of a television program's social media is to engage an audience, get people to watch the show, and also we want to extend storylines and make more of it, and not just what you see between 6:30 and 7 on Channel 4 and 7 and 7:30 on E4. We want to extend that out into the digital world, and we try and do that through all the different platforms. Before we get into what the team actually do, can I just do a wee bit of market research? Can everyone get out your mobile phones, please? So I just want to ask something. Just stick up your hands, don't need to shout out or anything. On your mobile phone, who's got the Facebook app? Okay. Who's got the Twitter app? Instagram? Okay. Snapchat? YouTube? Spotify? Tumblr? WhatsApp. All right, Hollyoaks has got a presence on every single one of those platforms. So we're talking the most of yes, which is pretty good. So let me hand over to the team. Charlie, our digital campaigns manager, who runs the social team at Hollyoaks, tells a bit more about what Hollyoaks does on our platforms.
Yep, so hi everyone, like Alan said, I'm Carly, the Digital Campaigns Manager, which basically means that I manage the team that look after all the socials and look after all the digital output across all of those platforms that we were just talking about. I'm also responsible for cast liaison, so in terms of getting the cast to do things that we would like them to do.
Popping into the green room and saying, hi, can you take a photo for Instagram?
Yeah, basically. So making sure the cast know what they're doing, giving them scripts, rundowns, videos, making sure they're on set with us when we need them for Graham to produce the wonderful videos that he'll talk about later. So as Alan said, we're across all the different platforms. For us, we use each of them differently. We're a really multi-platform company. Like we try really, really hard to make sure that all our content is different and individual for all of the platforms that we work across. So I guess if we just kind of quickly go through all the platforms. So Facebook for us, it's kind of we use lots of different content, so pictures, videos, memes, GIFs, mostly join TX, so for transmission of the show. It's really, really important for us that we're putting key content from that episode out on Facebook for the fans to interact and engage and let us know their thoughts on what's happening at that point in time.
And it's our biggest platform as well. There's over like 1.8 million likes, and it always generates the most impressions. And you'll find that for a lot of TV brands, but especially for Hollyoaks.
Yeah, it's really important.
It's, without doubt, really, really important.
Yeah. We also put all our kind of behind-the-scenes videos. We do lots of different strands like Hollygoss, which again Graham will talk to you about. And the thing for us at the moment that we're really excited about is going live. So, well, not Richard so much, but
we had a bad experience with Richard, which involved in live video having to be quickly deleted.
I know we're live now.
Potty
Not gonna do
mouth.
anything.
Yeah, so we absolutely love going live on Hollyoaks, and we found that it's really great for the fans to be able to engage with us. We get massive reach, and we can do it from anywhere. So we've been live in the hot tubs. We have a Domino's Den, which is our room from our sponsored. Yeah, it's great. Pizza, brilliant. So yeah, just about anywhere, and we kind of go live straight after the episodes, or whether it's part of big campaigns. We always have a reason to go live, but there's plenty of reasons that Hollyoaks gives us.
Out of curiosity, hands up again, who goes live? Just 2 people, right? You see, brands do it all the time, programs do it all the time, but individually, I was contemplating going live from here just to get a different camera angle to see what we have to see inside. No, I'll leave that out, but yeah, it's such an important tool. And we always, because another key part of what we do, we talk to all the social platforms, so we're in contact with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And they tell us about their algorithms, they tell us about what works best for them, what's the best codes of practice. At the moment, Facebook Live is absolutely huge. You might spend hours and hours and hours on a brilliant video, which Graham does every single day in his team. Yes. But a live video can just get you an even extra reach, and it just might be, it's hit and miss depending on what time, depending on what the context is, depending on what the trend is. But if you get it right, it can give you such great figures.
Yeah, so for example, today, just before we came, we went live with a puppy. So we did a Facebook Live with a puppy from the Domino's Den. So one of our cast members brought in a dog. We have a pub on the show called The Dog in the Pond. It's currently closed for renovation, so we thought, well, let's have Puppy in the Pond while that's shut. Let's make people happy and bring in a little puppy. So one of the cast members' dogs came in today, and we've done a Facebook Live just before we came with the dog. We then got cast members in so that they could speak to people and ask questions and things like that. But it's basically any time we can go live, we will do it. So much so we actually went to Facebook HQ, which was great for Halloween last year. We went down to Facebook HQ. They asked us, we were the first soap to do
a live
show from there, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything we can think of that's original, we'd like to do it live.
Yeah.
Just to give me palpitations most of the time, to be honest.
Gives everyone palpitations.
Yeah.
Only when you're on, Richard.
All right.
All right.
So yeah, that's Facebook. Twitter. A lot of people believe that Twitter's kind of not so important anymore, or it's maybe not one of the platforms that people are focusing on, but we are still focusing on it just because anywhere that our fans are, we believe it's really important to be there as well. We have a lot of interaction on Twitter. We started doing daily Twitter moments, so I don't know if people know what the moments are on Twitter. It's like the little lightning bolt that you have at the bottom, and it collates different tweets, so fan tweets, celebrity tweets, press tweets, and then tweets that we've done ourselves. So every morning we do a moment to kind of discuss what had happened the night before, or tonight we'll do one for the tweets that we got in with this campaign that we're doing today with the puppy. So we really like the moments, and it's a great way for us to kind of spread Hollyoaks out to people that wouldn't necessarily be following us on our own Twitter. We also jump on the kind of current events. So we did an amazing thing. It was actually when I was off last week, so I'm not even going to try and take any credit
it's all
for it.
team effort. Doesn't matter where you are in the country, we all do it together.
I kind of wish we had a picture of it.
No, so everyone heard, what was the most engaged, used photograph on Instagram ever? Beyonce's baby. So that came out on Tuesday night, Wednesday night. So we've got Myra, who's having a baby at the moment. And the first thing we did in the morning, we ran into Graham's edit suite, which has a lovely blue wall. Got Nicole, who plays Myra, and dressed her in the veil. Got the baby bump out, the fake baby bump. And that went absolutely viral. Mail Online picked it up, Digital Spy, everyone. And
It's a very impressive copy. Yeah. Nailed that photo.
I think, my Ronce, that's what we've now christened it. So, it's always looking to find out what people are talking about. Again, with the dog coming in tonight, it's the Brits tonight, so we will jump on
It's a British Bulldog, so...
It's a British Bulldog, so we've got a few tie-ins with the Brits coming up as well.
Going to do some Brit predictions for us and things like that. So it's just finding ways to link the show with things that are going on elsewhere, basically, to keep us current and keep us talking about what our audience is talking about. We've also started doing video Twitter Q&As. We were the first soap to do that, which was brilliant. So again, just a way for the fans to get even closer to these guys. A little less stressful than going live because you can stop and actually think about what you want to say and delete it if it's...
Now, right, Richard?
Yep. You're not going to let that drop, are you?
No. It's a running joke throughout this talk.
So Twitter for us is an engagement platform, and we also, again, will put out GIFs, memes, pictures, videos, all of Graham's handiwork, just to promote the show throughout the day, and specifically Join TX. And then Instagram's my baby. I absolutely just love Instagram, and I love the fact that Instagram Stories now exists. If you go on our Instagram Stories now, if you like dogs, you should do, because it's just full of puppy magic.
Absolutely adorable.
Yeah,
Incredible.
It's the cutest puppy you will ever see. And also other people's dogs. So we ask people to tag us in pictures of their puppies. They've sent them in. So that's currently going on if you want to check out our Instagram story.
The reason why those three are sat there and I'm sat here is that I'm the only one who hates dogs. So split us up.
I was like, Alan, we've got a puppy coming in for the day. It's like, just don't tell me about
I'm glad we're doing the RTS talk.
And then obviously Instagram Live now as well. We were the first soap to go Instagram Live. The first morning. Well, basically we did a massive campaign that we'll talk to you about a little bit later on, where we went live across all different platforms, and the next day Instagram Live came out.
Which we were a bit...
Which was slightly devastating. Yeah. But we made sure that morning we got Duncan James from Blue straight on the live. So that's our Instagram. Again, we use behind-the-scenes pictures, videos. Pictures work better for us, but when we've now started squaring up our videos, that Graham will talk about, so that's made a massive difference to the way it feels and the way it looks, and just bespoke content for each platform. Snapchat we love. We do we use screenshots from that episode. So we give people a spoiler before the episode. So each day, if you go on our Snapchat, you'll find something out about that evening's show that you wouldn't know unless you were on our Snapchat. We also get cast members involved. We make use of all the filters. We have a lot of fun on Snapchat. It's a great way for the cast to be a little bit silly and kind of not worry so much about looking wonderful like they normally do on screen. We have a lot of fun with our Snapchat. We also have opened Snapchat up to get fans to send stuff in to us and made videos from it and all sorts. So, yeah, it's a fun platform for us where we just kind of get to be a little bit silly. We also often use our Snapchat filters to use for content that sits on other platforms, just because, again, making use of the things that they can give us on there.
Because they're incredible, most of them.
Some of them are wonderful. Yeah, we've also started using Snapchat in videos, kind of longer form videos again, that Graham will talk about a little bit.
Oh, by the way, it's Hello Hollyoaks. If you can all start following, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, please follow us on all our platforms. Yeah. We like people following us. And we're also, I'll keep this, we could go on and on forever because we're on everything. But Spotify, we love Spotify. We put the music from the episodes on Spotify so that the fans, we're always getting fans tweeting us and saying, oh, what was that song? What was that song? So it's just a really nice way to be able to collate everything from the show be on that platform. We also do Tuesday tracks where we ask the fans or the viewers to send us in their favourite songs. One of the cast members will pick from 3 or 4 or 5, and then that will sit on the playlist as well. So everybody gets to be a part of making that playlist what it is, and it's a nice way to interact and bring the show to that platform. Tumblr, we put show content on there, and we also use it to house some of our Snapchat content. So I think that's probably, we could go on for a little while.
You really should work harder. G-Man. Oh, sorry, by the way, I constantly call Graham G-Man, so if that slips out, you know who I'm talking about, if that's all right. So, Graham.
Yeah. Well, he spelled my name wrong earlier today in an email, which I picked him up on, which was quite funny.
Let's not talk about that. There's lots going on. G-Man, our head of video for digital, runs all the video teams. What do you do?
Make videos, surprisingly. So I work across all of Lime's portfolio for the digital video content that we put out, but 99% of my time is Hollyoaks because it's just on all the time and everywhere. So yeah, I run the video team, which basically does all the kind of behind-the-scenes videos, big trailers, monthly spotlight videos, all sorts really. So, and then we do them, put them across all of our platforms. But main platforms for our videos, well, YouTube, and we do content for all four, Channel 4's on-demand service, and then go natively on Facebook and Twitter. And then, as Carly mentioned, we do bespoke versions for Instagram and even do vertical versions for Facebook. We've been experimenting a lot with that just to see, because people, and you will notice when you see videos, a lot of the time they'll be vertical on Facebook, and it's just a more natural and engaging way to kind of interact with the audience. So we've been kind of experimenting with that recently. But in terms of the actual amount of videos we make 5 huge seasonal trailers a year. So we do a New Year trailer and all the seasons. And as part of that, we do a big campaign around it, don't we? So recently, New Year trailer, for the first time, we put our trailer natively on Facebook and built a big campaign around it. And that's had over 1 million views now.
Yeah.
And
Well, that was within 24 hours, wasn't
yeah,
it?
and a reach of
4.3 million at the minute.
yeah, so it's reached 4.3 million. So that's just again getting Hollyoaks out to a wider audience, and that's kind of like the big aim, really. It's like you've got to push the show as much as we can and get to as many people as we can, and this is like a really engaging way of doing it.
What's brilliant, Rachel, our boss, she's the head of multi-platform and press. So basically, Lime have brought the press team and the digital team under one roof. So we just constantly talk, and something like the trailer, which gets so much digital reaction, that then gets sent out to all the news outlets, and it's all one joined up message. So we want all the news, the Sun, everyone, they pick it all up. So then they can start talking about what's coming up online. So it's always having that forward-thinking strategy of when these things will work out best.
Yeah, and those are always the biggest. The trailers are just a massive. I just kind of go into my own world for about 2 weeks and just lock myself away. But
Do not knock on his door if he's working on a
bit of an
trailer.
angry bear.
I get scared of them. Like I've got to share a window in our offices, and I'm looking at him going, steam coming out of his head.
But it's always it's always great at the end of it because it's a massive effort, but it's a really good team effort.
And they get shown on Channel 4 as well, and E4.
Yeah, they get broadcast. So the trailers get broadcast on Channel 4 and E4, and then the press do a great job of getting it to programmes like This Morning, who show a bit of it and we'll talk about it. So that's always quite nice to see work you've done, not just on all the digital platforms, but getting broadcast as well. So they're really rewarding. Then we do 12 Access All Areas videos. So this is a monthly kind of character spotlight video. We've done one with Richard when he had a big story going on screen, didn't you?
Yep.
And these are kind of, we basically use these as a platform for the fans to engage with a character or a cast member who's had a big month on screen. So we get fans to send in their questions, and we've recently innovated a bit more with this by doing a quickfire round. So we get quickfire questions, but then we've used Snapchat to record the quickfire answers, because you only get 10 seconds of video on Snapchat. So it makes it a bit more pressured, and you have to answer the questions quicker.
And we can stick a DAF filter on. Which is
Stick a
always
DAF
nice.
filter on, of course, yeah, make it even more fun. And then we've just recently introduced WhatsApp video messages as well. So if you want to get your faces on one of our videos now, you can send us a video question, and we can include it into our Access All Areas. These are our kind of longest form videos. They're about 6 minutes, and it's naturally videos now online that tend to be kind of about 1.5 minutes, really, to keep people engaged. So to do an Access All Areas is that kind of luxury of getting a bit more time with that cast member and kind of rewarding the fans a lot by getting their names read out and what have you. So we do 12 of those. They sit on all 4 and on YouTube as well. And then we do loads of cross-promotion on all of our socials. So we'll take bits, because you can't keep everything. We film for about 2 hours. We have loads of footage at the end of it, and then we've got all this extra footage, so we use that to cross-promote on all the different platforms.
So many outtakes.
So many outtakes,
So
yeah. Richard's
many.
featured in a few outtakes, yes. But yeah, they're great, so they're once a month. We then have, we make 50 Hollygoss videos, and these strand of videos came off the back of our website's biggest kind of, biggest page was the spoilers page on the website, so everybody wants to know what's coming next. So we developed this strand of videos called Hollygoss, which is a weekly video teasing up a next big storyline, sometimes giving away a big spoiler, so you don't know if you're going to get a massive bit of information or a teaser, or if there's a new character coming in. And the good thing about these videos is we get complete creative license to make them in any way we want. It could be a simple sit-down interview, or it could be a fully conceptual mini trailer within a video. It could be a challenge video at Christmas. We had 2 of our cast members dressed as Santa, trying to do the best, who could wrap the present the best, and then we asked the fans to tweet us who they thought wrapped the present best. So they're really fun. They take up a lot of time because it is a weekly thing, and it's quite you've got to be on it and trying to get
It's a different
ahead with
idea
it.
every single time as well, so always coming up with that new concept.
Absolutely,
Takes
and it's jumping on trends and stuff as well. How could we jump on the latest trend within one of these videos? So it's constantly trying to think of how can we get this as far out as possible for as many people to see. So we do 50 of those. We then do about 10 to 20 backstage videos, which could be, as you know, Hollyoaks loves like an explosion or a car crash or something like that, or someone dying. But
Love a stunt.
yeah, love a stunt. In fact, you were involved in our most recent one
I believe I was, yes.
last week where someone fell out the dog in the pond. And we were there to film it, which is great. Those videos are always really fun because the cast are always loving it because it's something different to the day-to-day.
Even at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, even at 3 a.m., freezing cold in the woods. It's but they're very good. So we do about 10 to 20 of those a year. And again, we'll get as much extra content around that as possible as well. So Carly over there getting them said, just do this little video for us on Snapchat and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a real challenge that you don't really think about, is the fact that we obviously are getting so much content, and Graham will keep speaking about how much there is, but the numbers are massive in terms of the output that we're doing with the videos in particular. And we're trying to get all this content around the cast, who sometimes are on set for I don't know how many hours a day, but can be from 8:30 in the morning till that time at night.
Yeah, it can
and
easily
we're
be 12
trying to
hours.
grab them on their lunchtime when they've got a 1 hour break, and they've just been doing scenes where they're crying because their on-screen brother's fallen out of a window and has just died, and we're going, "Here, come do this with us."
Yeah.
So it is often a challenge, but we're particularly lucky at Hollyoaks with our cast, because you guys get it, don't you? You kind of get why we're doing it, and you're.
And we're lucky with the
on
digital
board.
team because you're all lovely as well. That's the thing, is you understand that we are being pulled around just as much as you guys have to make a ridiculous amount of content. So it's the understanding there that I understand. Will you be okay to, rather than just quick come to these videos? Are you okay to do the video? Yeah, okay. Or if we're not, for instance, I remember we were filming in the funeral bits and pieces. It was who can we film a video with? And I remember looking around, going, okay, hang on. Both of those guys are like amping themselves up to do a really emotional take, and I was like, I think they're free. I think they're available. I was like, just helps you guys like go and look at the person who will be most receptive to doing a behind-the-scenesy type video.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's a big part of it actually, and that is a kind of, whilst we love getting loads of content and it's all about videos and stuff like that, we have to work really closely with all the different departments in Lime. So we work with research. We're going to be doing some support videos soon for an upcoming storyline. So yesterday we were in a meeting with research, who then deal with charities and talk about how can we do an online support video to support that storyline, and kind of explain a bit more about the storyline as to and dispel any myths around an issue, and kind of so we work closely with that, and then we work closely with press to kind of get those stories out, as well as editorial for it to all fit in with the storyline at the right time.
Which, of course, I completely forgot. So much goes on, you just forget things, and then it just sparks what we actually did. Last year we made a documentary about sexual consent, where we got students into a room at LIPA. They thought they were there to shoot a Channel 4 programme. We gave them a case study. What they didn't know was the case study was actually an episode of Hollyoaks that was coming up. And it was like, oh right, this is actually going to be on screen. And we just saw how their opinions changed from reading something off paper to actually seeing it on screen when we showed them the episode. It was a brilliant journey to watch. And that's, being able to do something like that with this show is just, it's a gift. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really added on. That's on all 4 actually, so you can go and see, you can actually watch that.
Hollyoaks, what is consent?
Yes, yeah. No, but it's great, and doing stuff like that actually, like as fun as our job is, and doing all the the great things with the Snapchat filters and everything, that doing campaign support stuff around real issues, I find really rewarding. I know we all do really. It's a great kind of thing that Hollyoaks in general does. It tackles real issues a lot of the time, and we get to support that in innovative ways, not just to sit down and tell us about this issue. We try and make it more interesting, like doing a documentary like that.
If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page by now, there's no hope for this. So.
There's a video every single day on our YouTube. It's either going to be a preview of that night's episode, or we are constantly putting out Holly Gosses, these AAAs,
Behind the scenes.
big trailers, behind the scenes. There's something for everyone there. So, yeah, that's kind of. I think that's our video content.
And of
Probably
course,
more that I've missed.
Just that.
I know.
First soap to shoot 360 video.
Oh yeah, so
I
it's
remember.
interesting actually. Yeah, the VR got mentioned because we did last year. We did a online VR scene, which was a crime scene, and it had certain clues about an upcoming storyline of someone who was going to be murdered, and there was clues in the scene. And because it was VR, you could look around, and we had a detective walk in, talking to the camera, so talking to the viewer, as if they were in the room and picking up different clues. And it was just a really kind of immersive way to tell a story in a different way or add on to what was going on screen.
Because Facebook supports 360 video natively now, doesn't
Yeah.
it? You can just look around on your phone.
Exactly,
It's really
yeah.
much easier to get into, yeah.
Yeah, so it was, yeah, we put it on our YouTube channel, but you're right, Facebook has now got it, but it's so accessible now even more. So and we were the first people to do that. We got lucky where someone had come to us with a brand new Nokia Ozo camera, which has 8 cameras in it, so it records everything in full VR. And it was just a great kind of experiment and thing to do, really. It was, did well for us, didn't it? It was all right, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, you need to work harder as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what's brilliant about these two and their teams is that, as you can imagine, there's so much content going on, so many platforms. But what is brilliant is that they work together. One doesn't work without the other. You know, social content, the best kind of content that reaches the furthest reach is video content. So these two have to work side by side so closely with me just interfering and going, all right, do that. That's really, really
It's great.
good.
Alan's great at putting a creative, like, he'll just say, can we just do that? We'll do this, it'll be amazing. And then it's
And
like...
then he'll leave the room.
How do we actually do that?
But it's great. It's like... And that's really good for us, though, as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So, but we wanted to show a couple of videos of how the teams work together so closely to come up with a campaign. And the thing about social media, you need to be constantly surprised all the time. If you know what you're going to get, you're not going to engage with it. It's like storylines. You love some storylines more than others. You're more engaged with storylines. It's exactly the same for social media. So what we try and do is we try to come up with little mini campaigns to get the reach of our social channels out there. So the first video we're going to show is it was a campaign called Hollyoaks Express. It was just done in January. We had a character leaving the show, and we wanted to tease up that someone was leaving. So we got the whole team together, and this is what we did.
Hollyoaks, the British continuing drama which airs weeknights on Channel 4 and E4, is famously known for pushing boundaries and telling hard-hitting, issue-led stories, and is a programme which remains consistently on the social radars of many 16 to 24-year-olds throughout the UK and beyond. Hollyoaks' young audience are digital natives who are accustomed to the fast-paced and ever-changing ways of the digital age, so it is vital that the show has a strong online presence to accompany its on-screen drama. Hollyoaks is full of surprises and shock exits, and the first character to meet an untimely end in 2017 was Eva Falco, a dodgy copper hell-bent on revenge against Hollyoaks stalwart Jack Osborne. However, she signed her own death warrant when she crossed notorious bad girl Grace Black.
Eva, say something.
Eva's final scenes would show her attempt to escape the village on a train. So to tie in with this theme, we created the Hollyoaks Express Live campaign. Our first ever multi-platform live event in which we streamed, not steamed, across Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, the only platforms to have live capabilities at the time. We announced the campaign with a virtual train ticket containing our Snap code, which fans could scan to add us on Snapchat. A Snapchat story had cast member Andrew Hayden Smith describing the concept in more detail.
Monday's E4 episode is somebody's last episode, and we're going to be travelling across 3 social platforms, giving you live clues as to who it might be.
Each live stream would reveal a letter from the character's name, and the fans had to piece them together to find out who it could be. Andrew also asked them to screenshot and share their ticket to spread the word, and over 5,000 people did just that. Early on Monday morning, we released the Hollyoaks Express Live Journey Planner on Facebook and Twitter, which detailed the times and platforms for each live stream taking place that day, with the final destination being the all-important episode at 7 p.m. on E4. With momentum building and the press outlets including Heat Radio, Digital Spy and OK Online beginning to pick up on the campaign, we published a Twitter moment featuring different posts with the hashtag Hollyoaks Express. These included our own tweets, fan tweets and press tweets. The first stop on the Hollyoaks Express journey was a Facebook live stream with popular cast member Jessica Ellis.
What about this one?
Who put her artistic skills to the test to reveal the first clue.
So excited to find out. Well, you could find out before the show happens, Joanna, because I'm going to do some clues.
Utilising the app's drawing feature, Jess drew 3 different objects, a ball, a banana and a cat, all of which contained one common letter, the letter A.
And remember that there's one letter in all of these things that I've drawn that is a clue to the character's name who we're going to be saying goodbye to tonight.
It was then time for us to go live on Twitter for the first time using the platform's new 2017 update.
Hey, there we are, right, hello. We are doing Twitter live for the very first time, and what a better time to be doing it.
In this stream, Rory Douglas Speed hid an envelope containing the second clue in the set of the coffee shop.
And you guys are going to try and find the envelope with the help of this gentleman here.
Yes, the Hollyoaks Express.
Yes.
Come on, got me
Right.
tickets.
While Ben Ryan Davis interacted with the viewers, it was then up to Ben to find the hidden envelope with some of the help from the fans.
So there's the bean, right? Under the sofa cushions, someone said.
I don't know what we're doing. Right. No. No.
Good effort, good effort.
I'm trying the other sofa. Oh no, there's a cushion there.
Viewers commented with directions and suggestions for Ben, and eventually helping him find the envelope and reveal the next clue, which was the letter E.
I think I'm out of it. Here we go, yes! Yes, in there.
In between each live stream, we kept the fun going on our Snapchat and Instagram stories, using our cast to create funny videos, boomerangs and images. We even played a Who Wore It Best game on Snapchat, where fans had to screenshot the character they thought wore the Hollyoaks Express conductor's hat best. Later in the day, it was time for Andrew Hayden Smith to host our final live stream on YouTube. Andrew pinned 7 photos to a board in the Hollyoaks police station, all of which had a connection to the night's departing character.
A vest. Now, people who usually wear that kind of vest are usually in trouble.
The eagle-eyed viewers would notice that at the end, Andrew had created the letter V with his photos, the final clue of the day.
Now that there looks like a big clue overall to me.
There was a huge buzz on Twitter which resulted in the Hollyoaks Express trending at #1 in the UK. As Eva's death played out on screen, tweets flooded in from excited fans who had cracked the clues and guessed correctly. As the credits rolled, the ghost train of the Hollyoaks Express arrived as we surprised the fans with one final live stream on Facebook with none other than Eva Falco herself.
Hi guys! So, obviously, hashtag Hollyoaks Express, and it was Eva's last stop.
Yes, actress Kerry Bennett took questions from viewers about her time on the show and shared some of her favourite memories of her time at Hollyoaks. Overall, the Hollyoaks Express live campaign proved a great success with fans and was the first of its kind for continuing drama, creating the ultimate live multi-platform treasure hunt all the way to its final destination.
So that's me signing off. Just thank you so much for everything. You guys are amazing.
We called that a Monday. What was brilliant is to be able to do that kind of content across so many platforms and have it all joined up. And the fans absolutely loved it. They love treasure hunts. They love finding out clues before they go on air. So if we can help create an environment across all the platforms to do that, it's just such a fun thing to do. We've got one more video to show you, but I just wanted to talk to Richard, because he's been very quiet for a change today, and he hasn't sworn yet, which is really, really...
Not planning on.
Yet. That's what happened last time. As a cast member, what's it like to do digital content for the show?
It's a heck of a lot of fun. It definitely is. I mean, when you're talking about that Hollyoaks Express, I was working pretty much the entire day that was going on, and I was so annoyed that I missed out on all that, because you look at all that, the treasure hunt and everything they did in the Bean, that looks like so much fun. And I did one little video in my lunch break for you guys.
And a picture.
Oh, and a picture, I forgot about that one. But yeah.
And a boomerang.
Oh yeah.
Charlie gets her worth whenever she's
Definitely. There was all in the space of like 3 minutes. Just quickly.
Like, wait, one of them.
It is definitely a lot of fun because also if you're doing, for instance, as you're often around at cataclysmic events in our characters' lives, because those are normally the exciting things. Yeah. So it is often quite a lot of fun to take yourself out of the scene briefly and go do something different, more interesting, with a group of wonderful people as well, because they're all great and joke and laugh with you and kind of keep spirits up as well, which, as you said, on a 3 a.m. night shoot can be really helpful. And also, it's really easy to interact with all the different platforms you're using because, as you all showed, we've all got them on our phones anyway. So we all know how to use them, Snapchat, Instagram, all of those. You're used to using them anyway. So, for instance, I did a behind-the-scenes live stream on Instagram at the NTAs, I think.
Yeah, so the National Television Awards, Richard went live for us.
While everyone was getting their hair and makeup done. That was quite fun. Yeah.
He was ready about 5 hours earlier and was like, I'm done, do you want me to do anything?
The joys of being a guy at an awards ceremony. You don't have all of the crazy hair, makeup and incredible dresses. We just turn up in a suit and just go, hi.
So I was like, sure, go live.
Yeah,
like,
so I was walking around going, can we go in there? Are they ready? Good. Hi, guys. And just showing everyone around. But it is really a lot of fun because also it helps you interact with your own social profile as well, which in this industry now is becoming more and more important from an actor standpoint to have.
Oh, it's all about you, Richard. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I haven't said a word in the last half an hour.
Oh, it's all coming out now. Come on.
But no, it's great to be able to interact with you guys and use the incredible social media presence that Hollyoaks has to interact yourself, to build up your own profile, because when you eventually leave the show, you will need that. So it's great to do those kind of bits and pieces. And also, as I said, it's just a heck of a lot of fun. Like as you can say, I come in and harass you guys on most days and just chat.
Yeah.
And
if Richard's in, he'll be in our office.
It helps your office is on the way to the green room, so I can just wander straight in and just go, hi guys, or you can grab people on the way past, which often happens.
Yeah, you often see me screaming and running down a corridor if someone tries to rush past to get away with not doing something, and I'll be like chasing after them.
The other lovely thing about having Richard here today as well is that Richard was part of one of the most beautiful storylines that went out this year. Jade and Alfie. Tell us just a little bit about that, because we have a little video that we want to talk about, a social campaign that we did to support it. But
it's linking to what Graham said, or G-Man, said about the important issues that Hollyoaks love to raise and talk about and dispel myths from. The last year, about 9 months worth of that year, myself and a wonderful actress called Cassie Snelson did a storyline about cancer in conjunction with Stand Up to Cancer and Cancer Research UK to raise awareness and those bits and pieces. And particularly the other thing was dispel myths about how it's traditionally played in the media, kind of like, the sensationalized version of a story, My Sister's Keeper, those kind of films. They're not the true representation of a person living with cancer. So during that, we did that for the past 9 months. That culminated with Cassie's character unfortunately passing away. And at the end of that, when that final episode aired, we came up with a campaign called My Jade Is, which, because she's a lovely person and a wonderful character the audience had grown to love over the last year, everyone's going to be sad to see her go. So it was sharing their favourite moments of the show and favourite moments with people they have known who have been affected by cancer, because I think it's now 1 in 2 people will be directly or indirectly affected by cancer in their lifetime, which is an incredible statistic. So it was...
For me, it's probably the proudest thing that I've been a part of, because through the show, we felt like we were helping people and helping take that storyline out into the real world and getting responses back. So we got a little video to show you what the social campaign was all about to support the storyline.
When Hollyoaks teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer to tell the story of Jade and Alfie, 2 young people with Hodgkin's lymphoma, it was always going to be a multi-platform campaign.
The story of 2 teenagers navigating the pitfalls of first love alongside cancer treatment transcended the nightly broadcast.
Now, despite being new characters to the show, the audience very, very quickly fell in love with Jade and Alfie. And as actors playing them, we built up a really strong relationship with the viewers through social media.
Hollyoaks was the first soap to use Facebook Live as a method to interact with the audience, and when we did our first Facebook live stream, all the comments from the audience were asking us to kiss.
Here they come. Stacey, thank you for
kiss,
the first
kiss. Do you know what? I think on set we have so much banter that it's not really a problem.
No, not really.
So, it very soon became clear that we needed to find a way to help the audience through the fact that Jade was going to die.
The reason that we wanted to tell Alfie and Jade's story was to raise awareness, not just about cancer, but about bereavement, and it allowed our younger audience to indirectly experience the emotions of loss.
The story didn't end when Jade died. It started again for Alfie, forever changed by her death and following his new path. The idea for #MyJadeIs was to allow the audience to be a part of that too.
We invited the audience to share their memories and positive experiences on how they coped with cancer in their lives, or advice on managing bereavement.
At Hollyoaks, we tell a lot of different stories, but we do not tell people how to think, and we are not an authority on bereavement.
So to allow the advice to come from charities through our support page, or allowing our audience to speak directly with each other on a very accessible platform was so important. The campaign was announced in a video in which we also told the audience in advance that sadly Jade was going to die. Now what I'm really sad to tell you today is that Jade unfortunately dies.
We wanted to be the first to tell you because when it happens on screen, it is going to be really sad. And then Alfie's going to struggle quite a lot afterwards without Jade. But he's got his friends and family around him who are going to look after him.
So we want to do something positive. Go on.
All right.
Off you go. Out now. Using the #MyJadeIs through Twitter, we asked our audience to share their memories of their loved ones in a format they were most used to. Photos, collages, memes and videos.
We set up a WhatsApp account on a dedicated phone so that fans of the show could share their stories about how their lives had been affected by the disease.
We opted for WhatsApp because it's our audience's preferred method of communication. We wanted to make things as easy as possible for them because we're aware it's a very sensitive topic.
Using the new social media platform Wakelet, which collates images, videos and URLs into groups on a dedicated page, we presented the stories in beautiful collections for viewers to read and watch. There have been hundreds of messages received in total.
This is for the #MyJadeIs. And my Jade is my mum and my stepdad. They both died of cancer when I was 8. My mum of leukemia and my stepdad of lung cancer. And the memory I want to share is me, my mum, my stepdad and my brother every Sunday night. Always, like nothing stopped us. We'd always watch Wild at Heart in the living room for an hour. That's how long it was on. It was on, I don't know what channel or anything anymore, but and I haven't watched it since, but I don't know, it was just a tradition that stuck. We didn't really have many, but that was one. I can't remember any others, to be honest. I can't remember much about it. And I just want to say, I'm really, if you're sending in a video about either your parents or a brother or sister or a friend, I'm not going to say I'm sorry because I didn't cause it. I hate it when people say that. I'm like, oh my god, you didn't do this. Can you just like... But anyway, I just want to say, I hope you get the support you need and I hope you get through it. And yeah, so I'm really sad Jade dies. Sad times. So yeah, this is #MyJadeIs, my mum and my stepdad. Bye.
We are not aware of any other way in which a TV programme has engaged so directly on such a sensitive subject, and we believe that is very much the future of how to increase interaction with our audience.
It was a truly collaborative campaign, mixing together editorial, digital, press, IT and legal. In the future, we may use this for a happier story, but we are very proud of how we have supported Jade's death.
Blending fiction with factual to create a new space for the audience to use in their own way, whether that be help each other through the loss of a favourite character or deal with grief in their own lives.
An amazing experience. I couldn't be prouder of the team for the work that you did on that, and the performance on screen was equally as brilliant. So,
the work was incredible.
So really, I kind of think on that we've gone through pretty much everything that we do. Not much, lazy, this side of the stage. But what we'd love to do is take some questions and we'll hopefully give you some answers. We've got a microphone out in the audience, so if you just want to stick your hand up if you have any questions at all, throw them at us.
Breaking for the water.
I think I heard that. Do we have a problem with...
Would you like?
Yeah.
To be honest, we're actually, touch wood, we're quite lucky in terms of, like Facebook, we have moderation, so there's we look after that kind of behind the scenes, and anything that comes up that could be seen as particularly offensive will kind of disappear anyway. We use the tools that the platform gives us.
For me, I'm going to show my age here, but I've been working in digital for 10 years before there was even any social media.
I was 9.
Oh, God.
All right, young people.
No. What I've kind of noticed over the years is that trolling isn't what it used to be like. I remember 5-6 years ago, people used to really go for characters and cast members, and really small communities have started to gather around.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The community kind of self-moderates.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get a troll or somebody starts saying something, because the community is so close, and as soon as somebody sees that, the Hollyoaks fans will pick up on that, or the people that are reading those comments will pick up on it, and they do really self-moderate. There's
And
not
you know,
really much
look,
that-
it doesn't. There always will be trolling, and unfortunately, that's the medium that it is. But the fans are just so dedicated and love the show and the characters and the cast that much. They vet them out, really. You know, it's not worth them trolling anymore. I think we got one more.
What kind of changes has this effective social media campaign had upon your viewing figures?
It like any story, and it's a continuing drama, so you go up and down and peaks. No one can correlate that if you this Facebook video will mean you get 3,000, 4,000 views. No one knows what the impact, like no one knows what a news article in a newspaper actually gets you viewership wise. What we do know is when story peaks happen, the social media content goes further and the reach goes out wider, and viewing figures do go up in those peaks. How much of that is story, how much of that is social media, who knows, but it's so important that the two work hand in hand together.
We had a good month in January, didn't we? We were top of Channel 4's Channel 4 and E4's most tweeted about show in January. So the kind of, like Alan says, the effect of that is it's lots and lots of people talking about it, which hopefully will bring in other people to the brand.
Yeah, and talking about them longer as well, because rather than just the half-an-hour show on E4 and then it's a little bit of buzz that people would just talk on Twitter about it and then it would go away, versus that people are interacting and talking about Hollyoaks through the entire day. Like I know you put stuff on Snapchat before kids go to school at 7. So then they'll talk about it during school, they talk about it afterwards, so you get much more avid, engaged fans rather than just a person watching a screen.
We were just doing a bit of a stats breakdown yesterday. I'd love to tell you the numbers, but I'm not allowed to. But yeah, it's quite big when you add up all these different platforms. Yeah, it's quite nice actually. It was pretty big. So again, it's well done to the team, but it's just that support. So they amplify the story. It's across as many platforms as possible. It's so important.
You said you have a lot of success with campaigns that you do. Do you find you have more success and impressions with original campaigns that you come up with yourselves, or ones already existing on social media?
Complete mixture of both, really. Again, it's coming back to that, always trying to be surprising. No, how are we going to get a viewer to go, oh, I'm engaged now because of this live stream that's happening. What are we doing? Valentine's Day, it's a combination of both. Valentine's Day, it gives us a reason of something that everyone's talking about online to do something that ties back into the show. So we did the Facebook love streams, which sounds a lot worse than what it actually was, but it was basically 3 or 4 live streams where it was a blind date. So we set it up in the Nightingales.
The Nightingales, yeah. So we set up a beautiful table with candles and flowers, and basically we did blind dates / speed dating with the cast. So the fans could go on a date with different cast members, essentially, and we gave them 5 minutes each, and they had to try and impress the audience.
And the comments were like the
give
date
reactions,
questions.
and yeah, exactly. And then the person that got the most reactions or the biggest reach would then get to go on a second date.
Isn't that Rory?
Yeah. It was Rory. It's always Rory.
It's always, I mean, you look at him.
Always wins.
Look, you're so jealous, Richard. Look at you. And then what we did in that second stream was, as a reward to the fans, give them a secret from the show that night. So it was a reward for participating with the socials.
Yeah, I think also there's kind of quick wins. So in terms of the campaigns, jumping on current trends might mean that we're posting a picture, for example, like that, whereas campaigns like this was it only spanned over one day, but obviously it was something that we were posting from 7 o'clock in the morning till the evening, so the reach across all of that content might be greater. It might not be with something like the Myra, that's one image, and that image will just go everywhere because all the press will pick it up. So it's really kind of dependent on everything, the time, what's going on in the world. You know, some of our campaigns will last for a month and a half. When there's award ceremonies, we'll start campaigning for people to vote from the day that the awards open. And that is a campaign, but it will span across 4, 5, 6 weeks, and there'll be lots of mini campaigns within that. And within that time, we'll be looking out to see what we can jump on that will broaden our reach again. So there isn't really an answer that it's this or that. It's just, I guess it just depends on what
One of the keys to it, though, is being platform specific.
Yeah.
So there's no point just putting the same image on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's not going to help any audience members who use all the platforms see all three. It's lazy social media. You know, let's use Instagram stories. Let's make an image similar to it, but make it work for Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And that'll be a lot more engaging because the people who use that platform prefer that platform.
Yeah, we do bespoke content for each platform. We don't kind of use the same thing across.
No.
If we can help
Yeah.
it.
And also, jumping on the Beyonce thing was, if we did that every day, or if we did that every other day, people would get bored of it. So we've got to pick your moments in that as well, haven't you, to get the maximum kind of impact on that. So, yeah, it's kind of surprising the audience and more people and getting more people engaged.
The unexpected.
Thanks.
Still not sure. Any more questions?
Oh, there's a microphone coming.
How did you get to where you are in your career now? Like, any advice for people who want to do something like this? From all of you.
God, you've got our 45-minute session. If I'm honest, there's two rules, right? I know this is going to sound so cheesy, right? But I've got two big beliefs, is that be good to the people on the way up, because you always meet them on the way back down. And everybody in this room will get 1 or 2 chances of luck. And you see, when you get that chance of luck, grab it with both hands. Be passionate. And just go for it. God, I worked in radio when I first started, and I was doing night shifts, day, all for free. I was paying, as a student, I was at Salford Uni, I was paying, 40 quid a week in taxis just to get back and forth to a radio station. And that led on to I worked at Coronation Street for 9 years, being digital producer there, which then led on to working for Nine Pictures. And I think you guys would also agree.
For me, it's the same thing. Networking is so important. Like, you're so lucky to have an opportunity where you're in a room with like-minded people and people that work in the industry, and I think you've got to just make the most of all those experiences, because you don't know who you're going to meet. That's, for me, I did work experience at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when I was 16, and when I left uni I got in touch with the guy that I'd done my work experience for, and he was starting up a company and just took me in. So it's luck, but it's working hard when you get those opportunities, like really working hard. Again, everyone here has worked for nothing for crazy hours.
And being positive about it.
Yeah, that's what gets you. So again, I went to Coronation Street, and then Alan took me away from Coronation Street and took me to Hollyoaks. Yeah, because once you get in, that's when you then impress. But just keep speaking, and no job is too small, because things that you might think, I don't want to be a runner, or I don't want to do that, you've got to start somewhere, and you just don't know who you're going to meet or impress when you're doing that job. So yeah, just work really hard.
It was the same for you, G-Man, wasn't it?
Yeah, same. And it's particularly with me doing like video stuff, it's quite like a technical, skilled kind of job. So I knew a lot of people who did similar, probably the same job as me, but my link into Lime was through a colleague I'd worked with in Leeds, and he'd done a series of TOWIE, so he did a 6-week contract on a series of TOWIE. He couldn't commit to another series, the following series, because he'd taken another job, and he put my name forward to Lime. So I quit my full-time job to do a 6-week contract, gave it everything I had for the 6 weeks, and thought, well, I might not get anything else. But then they came back, and I then did another 3 or 4 series of TOWIE, and then a job came up with Hollyoaks, did that, and then I've progressed up through Hollyoaks. So that's all from just one person saying, not just from that guy, but working hard when you get that opportunity, but kind of keep in contact with those people.
But honestly, passion and positivity go a long way in this business.
Yeah. Keep knocking on the doors. Keep sending the emails. Just keep going.
Neither.
Yeah.
So that's the other one. So.
Okay. Thank you, Alan. Great last question, because that'll dovetail perfectly to the next session. But first of all, can we show our appreciation to Alan, Carly, Richard and Graham for that? Great. Smoothly exit stage left. Alan will be around later on. All four of them are going to stay along for the networking session in half an hour's time. So that's a fantastic opportunity, as they just mentioned there, to talk to them individually about opportunities and getting into the industry, etc. And later on, for the student awards, Alan will be here, where he'll plays David Platt in Coronation Street, and Kieran Richardson, who's one of the actors in Hollyoaks, as well. As I say, we've got a networking session in half an hour. We're then doing a session on virtual reality, and then the last session is Soap in a Week, where some of the team from Coronation Street will be here to talk about how that happens. But as I mentioned, the last question is a perfect dovetail into where we're going into next, which is really tips on how to get into TV. I've got two guests, if they want to join us shortly. I think they're just getting mic'd up. There's Laura Gibson, who's the social media lead for ITV. And then there is Rachel Braund, who is currently a journalist at Granada Reports, but was a news trainee. Both of those are going to talk about how they got into the industry and what they did. One other mention that I'll just give whilst we're just waiting for them to get plugged up is the RTS does hold numerous events throughout the year, so it's always worth looking at their Facebook site and website as to what's going on. One that we're going to be holding in March, was due to be last month, is Kay Burley, the presenter of Sky News, who's been there since its inception. She is a Wigan lass. She'll be here in this room on March the 23rd, hosting an evening with Kay Burley, talking about her career, the challenges, highlights, and some of the challenges she's had in getting into her career. I remember Kay when she worked in local radio at Red Rose, worked in local newspapers, and now she's been one of probably the best-known anchors on British TV. So certainly if you want to come along to that event, then make sure you do. But as I say, the next session is going to be tips on getting into TV. Laura, if you want to come up. Rachel, if you're ready to come up. Laura's going to talk about social media, and Rachel's going to speak about TV news. Please welcome them to the stage. As I say, in a few moments, we'll talk about how to get into TV news, and Rachel will speak about her experience of that, and we'll talk about the various training schemes that you can get into. But to begin with, we've just done 45 minutes on social media, and if you think about it, less than a decade ago, that never existed. Those opportunities weren't there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Were roles, responsibilities that TV organisations didn't even have to think about. But they've suddenly created a whole new set of opportunities and a whole new way of getting into the industry. What's interesting is both Laura and Rachel have only been in the industry 5 years. 5 years ago now, so back in 2012, Laura, who graduated from UCLan, Rachel, you was a student at Sheffield, wrong side at Pennine, but Rachel was at Sheffield. Both of those would be sat where you are sat now, wondering how did they get into the industry, wondering what sort of career could they have, wondering what sort of opportunities they would get. So two very different experiences, but hopefully ones that you might have an insight into and have an understanding of. So to begin with, Laura, the floor is yours. Explain how you went from UCLan to social media.
Hi. Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I am the social creative lead at ITV within ITV Creative. So ITV Creative is ITV's in-house agency. So our department make all the promos for On Air, so all the adverts that you see for the programmes. Now I work within ITV Creative, but within a smaller department, which is actually called the RTS. It's called the Real Time Studio. And what we do is do the social media for all of the brand feeds. When I started there, the team was 2 people, so there was me and another person, and that was 4 years ago. And now I think there was 15 people when I left the office yesterday, so there's loads of people and there's loads of opportunities for you guys. So I'm going to talk to you about what I do, because I went to UCLan, as Richard said, to do journalism, because I wanted to be a journalist and I wanted to be a writer. So I learned how to be a writer, but then I ended up getting a job that didn't exist. And there's so many more opportunities now for you guys, and so many things and so many skills that you will have that lend towards the industry that I'm in and the people that we take on. We sort of go to universities, we bring people into the team, because you guys probably know more than we do. So we need you to come to us. So what we do is we work with the guys, our creatives, who make the on-air promos, and we try and come up with big ideas around campaigns. So if we've got X Factor coming up, we might say, okay, so we'll make a trailer for on-air, and then that trailer might push to something in social media, and we might do a big experiential event with it. So we might host a big party or have flash mobs. There's all sorts of things that we can do, and it's super, super creative job, and there's so much opportunity for us to come up with massive ideas. I didn't know the job existed, and it didn't exist. And what I wanted to talk to you about is just about some people will know exactly what they want to do, and that's great, but just be open to new things and new opportunities. Whilst at UCLan, I was really, really interested in entertainment. So instead of going down the regular news route, for all the work experience I had to do, I went and just worked on entertainment shows. And Deborah, who was my tutor, was great and allowed me to do that. I actually went to Granada when it was in Manchester and worked with Richard for a couple of weeks, work experience, and then all the rest of the stuff that I did was on things like Big Brother, shows like that, so entertainment shows. And I thought, what am I going to do? Because I've realised now I'm probably not going to be a journalist, and I love entertainment, so what am I going to do? This degree is pointless. But I came out of university with filming skills and editing skills, gallery working skills, and all of those skills are the skills that I need now in my job. So we take people into our team who can edit and self-shoot and can make things and make fun stuff and know what's happening in the world. I'm going to just show you a little example of something that we did. It's actually really old now, and I've shown it before, so I don't know if anyone's ever been to a talk with me before and seen it. Sorry if so. But I'm just going to show it because people sometimes think that working in social media, in TV, you just have to let people know what time everything's on and answer people's questions and problems, and it's not that at all. So for this project, we were asked by our marketing team, they said to us, we're going to rebrand ITV2, and what we need to do for that is show that ITV2's attitude has changed. So we're changing all of our branding, we're changing our look. What are you going to do in social media? So instead of us saying, okay, well, we'll make some assets and make pictures and videos about our content, we just tried to change the attitude to ITV2. So we were sort of looking online and we saw that Kanye just followed one person. So we started a campaign called Get Kanye to Follow ITV2, and we did a day of activity. I've just got a little video, if that's all right to play, of what we did.
Song. My leather black jeans on, my by any means on, part and I'm getting my scream on. Into the kingdom, but watch it you bring home. You see a black man with a white woman at the top floor, they gon' come to kill King Kong. Middle America packed in, came to see me in my black skin. Number one question they asking, what can be question you asking? If I don't get ran at by Catholics, it comes to conservative Baptists, claiming I'm overreacting like the black kids in Chirac, bitch.
All day, all day, all day.
All day. People looking at me like I'm worth both cliches. Screaming yay, yay, take it easy. 20 G for the G's, A for eBay. I took a young sweet bread and I reached into my earth. Gave him what I had left. So what today? In the morning, and I'm zoning, they say I'm possessed. It's the omen, I keep it 300. Like the Romans, 300 bitches. We're the Trojans, baby, we living in the moment. I've been a menace for the longest, but I ain't finished. I'm devoted, and you know it, and you know it.
Come on, Kenya, follow ITV2.
So follow me up, cause this shit about to go. I'm doing 500, I'm out of control. But there's nowhere to go, and there's no way to slow. If I knew what I knew in the past, I would've been blacked out on your ass. In the morning, and I'm zoning, they say I'm possessed. It's an omen, I keep it 300. Like the Romans, 300 bitches. We're the Trojans, baby, we living in the moment. I've been a menace for the longest, but I ain't finished. I'm devoted, and you know it, and you know it.
I'd like to introduce my new boyfriend, Kanye.
You alright? How's it going with you, woman?
Back at the tomb, bitch.
So that's just an example of something that I never ever thought I would have anything to do with, and never thought I would ever do. But it just sort of shows you that if you want to work in the creative industry, you can. If you've got loads of ideas, then you can. And just sort of building on what Alan and Carly were saying before about just being really nice to people. So when I went to UConn, I was a mature student. I was 24 when I went to UConn. And I probably looked a bit younger than I was, so everyone just thought I was 19. And I'd actually worked in TV, at a TV channel in a school for 7 years. So when I left uni at 27 and went to work, came to Media City actually, and did any job that I could get my hands, anything. I did absolutely everything. I was a runner, a logger, I worked overnight, did whatever. And whilst I was doing these jobs, I used to email the heads of the departments and ask if I could meet them for a coffee at some time that was suitable to them, and I would go and pitch programme ideas to them. I'd say, I've got a load of ideas and here they are, do you want them? Or I could come and make them for you. They never made any of my programmes, but what it did was one of them asked me to go and run on a show, and then that led to them going, oh, you can film and edit. And then I started doing camera work, and then before I knew it, I was in the industry, because I got 1 day's work, offered 1 day at Media City, and from that 1 day, just meeting people, talking to people, it escalated, and now I live in London and meet loads of cool people all the time and work with an amazing team. So, and what I'm finding now is some of the people that I saw when I was, like Alan said, on your way up, are coming in, and some of them weren't great to me because they were like, oh, she's just a runner. And some of them come in and pitch to me now, and that's really good. So just be really, really nice to people. Not in a fake way, but just be nice and it'll come back around. And that's it.
That's great.
Thank you.
Laura, that's fantastic. Can can I just check, did Kanye ever follow ITV2 in the end? No,
But he would have ruined it if he did.
But I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask Laura some more questions about exactly that. But that gives you a real fantastic insight, and you can already see that you know, whether it's Alan in the first session or Laura now, you know, getting a break is one of the most difficult things in this industry. But when you do get a break, using that opportunity to get into the industry, you know, it's down to you. There are other ways of getting in. I'm going to talk to you for the next few minutes about training schemes. The BBC run a very successful one. ITV do too, particularly around news. 5 years ago, Rachel was fortunate enough to be one of 12 people in that year who got on, 8 people in that, just 8 in that year. It's 12 this year who got onto the ITV News trainee scheme. It's a scheme we run every year. The final days of applying for this year's scheme is this week. I can tell you, having spoken to the team that are collating applications, so far there's been just under 400 applications to the ITV News trainee scheme for those 12 places, although be warned, we expect in the final few days that's when most people put them in. But you've got until Sunday to do it. And I just want to show you a short film that gives you a little insight into the sorts of people who can get onto that scheme.
30 seconds to transmission.
Three, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, welcome to this year's recruitment for our award-winning ITV News trainee scheme. We are looking for the next intake of talented entry-level journalists to spend 9 months in our regional newsrooms like here at Granada or in ITV Network News. They'll get industry-led training in all areas of TV news production. It's an intense time, but the rewards are there for those who show the determination, resilience and passion for television news.
It's the live news environment that so many of us here at ITV News love. I came to journalism later on in my career and started here at Granada as a work experience. On the ITV News trainee scheme, we're taught all aspects of TV news production, but that's just the start.
I discovered a passion for news after I finished my degree. I have worked in a bank, at a law firm and in music production. Here at ITV West Country, I'm getting the opportunity to learn new skills and work on stories both in the newsroom and out in the field, as well as gearing up to produce our regional bulletins.
A passion for on-air and online is what drives us as journalists, but trainees need more than that. Having experience and knowledge is crucial to the role. My passion for sport at ITV Wales is vital.
We're growing our presence online. Not only do we provide early morning bulletins, but we also make sure that our website and social media is up to date with the latest news, travel and weather. Part of the training involves understanding what our audience needs, making sure the latest information is available online as soon as it happens.
The web allows us to tell big stories in new and interesting ways. Donald Trump's election victory was all but sealed in the early hours of the morning, with all the developments on the ITV News website, which provided the key updates and analysis throughout the night.
So digital has been a huge part of my life for years. It started with blogs and then Twitter and now Facebook Live and video blogs. I'm even thinking about doing a bit of Instagram. Now the great advantage of digital is it gets me to an audience who wouldn't necessarily watch the telly, and I can put out loads of really important detail that I can't get into a 2-minute live or a 3-minute package.
Being a trainee is about developing a sense of what really matters to your audience and how the internet is changing not just how we tell stories, but also what stories we tell.
OK, you've heard the experience of some of our trainees past and present. Now it's your turn to decide if the scheme is right for you. Applications open on Monday the 6th of February and you have 3 weeks to apply. Good luck.
So there we go, that's a brief introduction to the training scheme. As Tony said at the end, it opened on the 6th of February, so if you do your sums, it closes this Sunday. It's an online application, so if you're interested, go to itvjobs.com and it'll take you to the correct portal and application there. But Rachel, you did it.
Yep.
What difference did it make to your career?
It started my career.
I'd come out of university and did an English degree, so I did 3 years in Leeds doing English, and thought, I don't really know where that leads. I know I like stories, but what can I do with an English degree? So I went and got some work experience, and they told me to kind of go and get my postgrad, and then kind of through the postgrad I heard about the traineeship. I never thought I'd get on it, and I thought it would be a real struggle to kind of bang on a lot of doors, but actually I got quite lucky in a sense to get into the traineeship and start my career from there.
Now, it's a paid scheme. It runs for 9 months. You start in October. It's on a salary of £23,000 a year, and you'd be based at one of the ITV regions, which is a great advantage.
Yeah.
Where did you go to when you started your career?
Central in Birmingham.
So you worked at Central in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And the sorts of skills that you learnt there were what?
So at the start you shadow a number of different ranges. On the news desk, we'd be looking at creating bulletins for like the Good Morning Britain bulletins, so that they might be only a minute and a half of telly, but actually a lot of production goes into that. So you learn the basics of writing well, you learn how to kind of PA a bulletin, so you're in the gallery, you're talking to the staff, the presenters, and you get that bulletin to air and you kind of learn all those skills. But then we look sort of working on the planning desk, setting up stories and talking to reporters and talking to viewers and talking to contributors and seeing what would work for a news piece, and doing a lot of work online as well, and working with the website and social media and getting into the swing of things that way.
Now, it's not easy to get on. I mean, there's in excess of, I think last year, 1,000 people applied, or in excess of 1,000 people applied for just 12 roles, and it goes through various stages. So what's your advice to anybody out there who is either in the process of applying or is thinking about applying in the last 5 days? What's the key thing that you need to do on your application form to at least get yourself through to an assessment day?
The first thing is to finish it. I know a lot of people might start and then think, oh, I've not got a chance, so I'll not finish it. And I actually remember doing my application, getting to a question, and I was chatting to my mum about it, and I said, you know what, I can't be bothered to finish this because I'm wasting my time. And she gave me a bit of, she's a Yorkshire woman, she told me that I was a bit of a pain in the backside, and just get it done. And I'm so glad that I did. So first of all, get it done. And I think in terms of, I'm not sure if it's the same, but certainly for our year, kind of a lot of the guys who started the application didn't see that through. So please do, just if you're interested and you kind of fancy it and you're not sure, but you're not sure you might have a chance, but just go for it and do it. But then in terms of kind of the application side of things, just show your personality, show that you've got ideas, show that you're willing to learn and that you're willing to listen, and show that you kind of interact with the world and that you care about what's on the news and that you watch the ITV coverage or whatever kind of placement that you're looking for. Where I am in my news desk, the work experience tends to come and sit directly opposite me. And I can tell straight away within the first 5 minutes who's the kind of person we want in the newsroom, because they're the person who goes, sorry, who are you and what do you do and what's your job and how did you get into it? And the people who sit and scroll on their mobile phone and don't seem engaged, they're the ones that you kind of dismiss rightly or wrongly, but it's kind of being engaged with what you see, what you kind of know and what you want to see on the television and whether you could be part of that.
I mean, Laura, you also mentioned work experience. It's interesting, Rachel talks about it too. How important is work experience for students? How important that they use work experience as a way of getting a foot in the door?
The most important thing, I think it is the most important thing you can do. I would just do as much of it as you can, paid or unpaid. Just go and do it and just be super helpful. I once fed a banana to a director as he was filming because I thought I was just trying to be helpful, and we'd been filming a wedding for hours and hours, and I picked him up at 3 a.m. and I worked till 1 the following morning, and he hadn't had a chance to eat, so I just peeled a banana. I thought, just do it, and I went. He was like, thank you, and then gave me a job. And there was some other people that I brought along to run on the show as well, and they left at 7 because they said their shift finished at 7 and they didn't get offered jobs. So just be helpful and enthusiastic and watch the programme, because if someone comes to me and I say, what's your favourite programme? And they go, oh, I really like or I like Newsnight, I'm like, oh, it's the wrong channel. So just, yeah, be enthusiastic.
Have you ever had to feed a banana to anybody?
No, no, not yet.
but I mean, the sort of do's and don'ts on work experience. Turn up on time.
I remember one that I think you were in the newsroom for when someone tweeted that they were bored, which is not ideal. But no, it's you get in what you put in. You get out of it, sorry, what you put in. And those people that say, you know, I know it can be uncomfortable sometimes going into a place that you might be daunted by or whatever, and saying, have you seen this, or do you know about this? And we might know about it, but we might not. And we'd much prefer to know that you've kind of seen something that you're interested in or that might be relevant to the audience, and at least try. And if we have heard about it, and that you've not lost anything, but maybe you could pitch an angle to it, or kind of someone that we could talk to about it. So there's always stuff that you can offer when you're on work experience, and offer a different idea. It might be an online kind of version of what we're doing, and we might have kind of missed something that we should have seen on the way to work or whatever. You might know something that we don't, and I think just be brave enough to say things, and we won't ever judge you for having a go.
Okay, I'll throw it open to questions in a second. Laura and Rachel, I mean, a lot of people just get rejections. You know, people email, write to people, get in contact with people and ask them for the opportunity, and often you don't hear back. I mean, that's off-putting, isn't it?
No, just ignore it. Don't. Sometimes I get emails or people approach me and say, someone approached me at the last conference I went to and said, I just want some advice. And I said, oh great, yeah, what do you want? And he said, I just want to know how to get a job. I was like, what do you want to do? Anything. And I was like, oh, well, I said, well, I wouldn't give you a job because you should have come over and said to me, I've seen something cool, or this would be great, or I have an idea. So I know it's different in every industry, but I always say to have an idea if you can and be enthusiastic.
Rachel? Rejection?
I'm on the planning desk at Granada, so my job is often to chase contacts and chase stories, and I get rejected on a daily basis, so you kind of have to get used to rejection, how to twist it in your favour. There's always a way around rejection. All right, you might not get offered that job, or you might not be able to go in and meet for the coffee that you wanted, but you can always say, well, I know maybe on this occasion that you haven't got time, but here's my CV, or here's something that I've done, and I think people look out for that, don't they? If you're hiring, you kind of look for those people that take rejection but still want to show themselves off a little bit. So that would be my advice.
Okay, questions in a second. The experience Rachel referred to when somebody was on work experience that sort of went wrong was in the early days. I was the boss at Granada at the time, and Twitter was sort of just being brought into being used extensively in news, and we had a tweet deck on the wall. This was when Granada was at Key Street, and there was a student who was in for 2 days, and on his first day he'd gone out with a reporter in the morning, enjoyed himself. It was the afternoon, he was sat on the planning desk, and the Twitter tweetfall was behind him, and the news editor who was sat opposite was looking at it, and this would capture anybody who mentioned Granada Reports or ITV, and suddenly this tweet appears on the tweet deck on tweetfall, saying, sat in Granada newsroom, went out this morning, now bored shitless, right? And he had some Twitter handle like Snoop Doggy, hash, whatever, right? And Claire, who was the news editor at the time, sort of said, and there were 2 students in on work experience, which of you is, reading out his name, and this lad was all chuffed because he was like, oh, right, that's me. And then she just pointed at this tweet that was now on the wall behind him, to which he went bright red and never reappeared in the newsroom again after that. So that things can go wrong. I've known worse. I've known somebody to write off a car on work experience. So, you know, there are levels of disaster. But look, questions, opportunity. Here's 2 people who, like I say, were in your role just 5 years ago. Anybody got a question for either Rachel or Laura about some tips and advice about how they get into their industry? Come on, there must be somebody.
What makes an application stand out? Mostly any key terms or phrases.
No, I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't filter through the application, so I'm not sure if there are any key phrases or anything like that. But it's just having it's just showing that you've thought about things, being, you know, a critical thinker. I'm not sure if this year's application, sorry, I should have had a look, but sometimes they will ask you to watch a programme and tell you what you think about it. Make sure you do sit down and watch, if you can stand it, 5 days of Granada Reports and see, you know, really think, because sometimes we let things wash over us and we kind of aren't always aware of what we're watching. So think, what's happening in that programme? What are they doing there? And could you do it any better? What did you like? What did you not like? So it's making sure that the person who's reading the application knows that you've really put some effort into it, really thought about it, and really kind of maybe have a few ideas to bring to the table as well. So don't be afraid of kind of saying that you do it differently, because I think that does get noticed. But equally, don't trash the programme, because we've all got egos as well.
Okay, another question? Anybody else? One at the back there. Microphone's just coming around.
With the trainee programme, do you recommend like doing that at the end of the degree, or does it work alongside it?
I can't see who's asking that,
just
sorry.
in the corner
Sorry, hiya. I think you have to do it at the end of your degree because it's a full-time paid work, so yeah, you have to finish, but I'm assuming that you can apply now and sort of see whether, I don't know if it's a PG dip, or I don't know if anyone's doing that, you can kind of cut a year short if needs be, but I think the trainee starts in October, so you should have finished your course by then anyway, but it is a full-time paid job.
Okay, time for one last question if anybody else has got anything else. Anybody? So one there. Go on. Microphone round.
Obviously, coming out of uni now, you do have different skills to what journalists might have had like 5-10 years ago. What sort of thing are you expecting for journalists to come into a newsroom with now?
Well, if you're going to do a trainee scheme, we know that you're going to learn a lot during your time with us. We expect you to have a solid understanding of social media and the digital kind of changes that are happening, because you're kind of in the middle of that and you should be kind of the people who are championing that. So you should have the skills of how to spot a story and how to ring people and set stories up and all of that. But the law, the writing, the filming, that will all get taught on the traineeship. So we're not expecting you to be that perfect package straight away, because otherwise that's kind of boring for the people doing the training. But it's having an awareness of what makes news interesting. Can you bring anything to the table that's new, and especially the digital stuff. I think it's important that people have a real grasp of that now, because that's where we're moving to.
And Laura, in your area, I mean, what sort of skills would you expect somebody to turn up if they contacted you with?
It depends. So in the team we have people who are writers, editors, designers. The people that come in and say that they can do it all are amazing, obviously, because they are, they've got everything. But I think that we tell stories in the same way that news tells stories. We just do it in a different way. Yeah.
Okay, listen, some great advice there from Rachel and Laura. Some of the advice they gave earlier, and you also heard it from Alan, is one of the best ways of getting into the industry is networking. Your chance to talk to people who are already working in the industry. There's a gaggle of people already behind the door, so we're going to let them in. Rachel and Laura, thank you very much. If you can show your round of applause. But there's a chance now for the next sort of 15-20 minutes. Get yourself a coffee or a tea or a soft drink or whatever, and your chance to also network with people who are working in the industry now. Get hold of their contact details, find out what they do, and we'll reassemble in 20 minutes. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.
Hello, sorry. Hi, come in. Right, grab a cup of coffee and then I'm going to direct you towards... It's like... Yeah, good one. Yes. Hello, thank you. You're dressed like a student. Just like a lecturer and stuff. Hiya. Hi. Come on in. I am, yes. Hello. So, does I recognise you? Hello. Yes. They know. Oh, here's Kyla. Hi. Hello. You've got your pass on. Grab a cup of coffee, and then what I'll do is I'll then sort of try and invite students. Get rid of the music. Just get. Sorry. Hello, everybody. Oh, sorry, that's far too loud. Sorry. That got your attention, didn't it? Okay. So, we've got lots of people here who have given up their time to come and talk to you today. So, I'm just going to quickly do a little bit of an introduction if I can. So, I've got Portia and Jade are here from Question of Sport. If you can raise your hand, you don't mind. I've got Dan and Anna here from BBC Learning at the back over there. Jed's here who works in Current Affairs. Sarah and Fran, I think, are here from Blakeway North somewhere. Oh, they're in the middle. Obviously, you've already met the team from Lyme. They're still here and they're very willing to chat to you. I've got people here from Dragon's Den. Where's Kyla and JC? And a big team from Shiver are over there. Sally and Fiona. Who else have I missed? I've got Mel and Sam are also here from BBC Sport over there. So do try and find somebody who might work in your chosen field, but they are here to chat to you, so please make your way over and chat to them. We've got about 15 minutes whilst you're having a cup of coffee. Marvellous. Over there with the, he's got a green parker on. No, in front of them, yeah, glasses on. But we are about to sit down, so you need to be super fast. Go on, quickly. Slip him your number. Right. Hello. Hello, if everybody can sit down now, please, for the next session. Thank you very much, those people who came along to chat. The next session's just about to start. I know.
Hopefully you found that networking session really useful, and if nothing else, have got some contacts or emails of people who you can now inundate with requests for work experience and opportunities. Hopefully the first two sessions you found really useful in terms of getting an insight into the industry, talking about whether it's social media or opportunities to get careers. Two more sessions this afternoon. The first, a bit like the world of social media, is something that just a few years ago would never have existed. We're going to talk about is the future virtual reality. And I'm delighted that we're joined by Sarah Jones, who some of you may remember was a lecturer at Salford University and is now at Coventry. Sarah's been a journalist for many years, most notably spending a fair few years working for GMTV and was based in New York covering developments over there, including the 2008 election. But her passion now is virtual reality. So her challenge is going to be over the next half an hour to 45 minutes to both get you embracing the world of virtual reality, but also in a 3D world, a 2D world, explaining how in a flat world, explaining how virtual reality works. So, Sarah, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really weird. I remember people coming up here now asking Freddie for work experience, and I was one of those people about 15 years ago saying, Freddie, give me work experience. So it's great to see other people here today doing that. I want to start simply by asking somebody that hasn't ever experienced VR to come up here now. Come on. Okay, you're going to have to talk, because otherwise it's a really weird experience for people.
Oh my God, now I'm freaking out.
I want you to put this on. Okay. Don't press it. What can you see?
Tap the touchpad to resume.
Okay.
Ah! What the hell?
And I want you to tell everybody what you can see.
I can see a big planet and lots of stars, all you are stars. And like, oh my God, there's a little rock floating about up here. Oh, no. Oh, there's something. Oh my God, no, I can't look down. Wow. I think my knees are shaking.
What if you could be anywhere?
Where's it gone?
Experience things you never thought possible.
Oh my God. There's like clouds and everything, and I'm freaking out. Love it, it's like rocks and...
Oh, you just
pressed
stopped
it again, sorry.
Kind of breaks the
Keep
immersion when you
there. stop
it.
Changing again.
Share moments of connection.
I could be mean and just touch it now, but I won't.
Yeah. Oh! I'm in some sort of Chinese living room and they're all eating nice Chinese food. I feel like I'm back in Nepal again, it's great. Don't even have to fly on Emirates or anything. This is well good. They're wearing well cute dresses as well.
No one's ever said that before trying this.
Oh. I'm in a ballet now, some sort of gymnast thing.
You can join in if you like.
So, they're all wearing tutus. Oh my God, they're speaking to me. Yeah, sound. This is so weird. This is so weird.
What if the possibilities were truly infinite?
I'm back in space. That was a nice journey. Jupiter's over there.
I'm not sure if it is Jupiter. But
It looks like it's got a big thing though. Oh, it's changing reality. I think it's finishing.
okay. You good?
Yeah.
I'm going to take it off. Tell everyone about that experience.
Whoa. That was mad, like, literally. I couldn't look down because my knees are still shaking. It felt so real. It feels real than what I'm, like, doing now. I think my legs are, like, full on shaking. I can't... How do you explain that? That literally crazy. I was in space, then I went to China. It was great, literally.
And you didn't have to fly on Emirates.
No,
so I think that's going to be my tagline for VR now. Okay, thank you. There's a headset.
Oh,
Go home
thank
and
you.
play more. Cardboard headsets are the best things ever, like £2 off eBay. Stick your phone in and you can go to Nepal as well or go anywhere. Thank you. It's really important if you haven't experienced VR to experience it, and I'll be around later if anyone wants to try anything. But I want to start simply with a call to action for all of you to become the virtual playmaker. And this is really, really important to me. I want you to discover and experiment and find new ways of telling stories. We went to Nepal, we went to China, you're on the moon, you're in a ballet, all in the space of 1 minute. And those are different stories and different experiences that allow you to go anywhere, which is really important. And there's no rules at the moment. This is the start of a new technology. I had someone in the break say to me they didn't know what to do. And I was like, this is really exciting for you. Because for VR and emerging technologies, augmented reality, that whole area, it's brand new. It's an emerging technology and it allows you to play and experiment. Rob Scoble, for those of you that don't know, is a big kind of tech predictor, and he describes augmented reality and all immersive technologies as being the fourth transformation. Another transformation that allows you to disrupt how you tell stories and how you live and how you experience. And for you, that's brilliant, because you can just grab the technology right now and start. So when I was a student, when I was where you are now, apart from bugging Richard about work experience, I wanted to be Britney Spears. That was all I wanted to do. I studied philosophy at Warwick, and if you imagine what a philosophy lecturer is like, it didn't go down too well when they were talking to me about careers and what I wanted to do. And I said I wanted to be Britney. And they were trying to push PhD study and logic and philosophy and ethics. So it didn't go down too well. I never ended up with the Vegas residency, and instead I became part of this world, this weird, weird virtual world. I spent 10 years in ITV telling stories, and then I moved into immersive technologies. This isn't a session about the technology. I can totally nerd out about it. If anyone wants to talk cameras and headsets and touch sensors, things like that afterwards, that would be great. But this session is about experiential storytelling. It's about this new form. Technology really isn't important. It's about the story. And it's about finding those new stories. The power of storytelling. Story is absolute king. I always go back to this quote about stories being so powerful. Stories have this potential to transform us into other people's worlds. They have the potential to change the way our brains work, potentially change our brain chemistry. And that excites me. It's the power of brain hacking, thinking that you can change someone's ideas of who they are and where they are. We went all over the world then through the power of this technology and telling stories. And that's what VR is all about. I have 3 core things that I go on about, and I talk about VR a lot. These are the 3 core facts. Everyone has a story. Stories are best told through experience. The second is VR is really ace. It's really, really cool. And it gives us the power to transform and experience things we've never experienced before. And then the third thing is really important. This is a new technology, and new technology needs new ways of telling stories. So we're going to break that down a bit now. So as I said, I spent 10 years in television telling stories, and fundamentally that was because I was curious. I love people. I loved hearing people's stories, spotting different people, thinking, what is it that makes them tick? What is it about them that drives them? What were those moments in their lives that really made them change how they thought and the things that they did? And it's that curiosity that has always driven me. So I went around telling people stories for a long time, but I always wanted to get closer. When I was in ITV, I was part of the movement that was big on reporter involvement. Putting yourself in the heart of the story. So I did a couple of big investigations around drug rape. I did a load of work on Sex and the City, where I was auditioning for the film for GMTV. Those kinds of stories where I became the story. And that was really interesting for me, to create that experience and try and get other people to experience it through what I was doing. But it was never enough. And even when the mobile journalism movement came and I could shoot and edit on my phone, I felt like I could get closer to the stories, but not close enough. For me, there was still this barrier, and that barrier was always the screen. So when I put on a VR headset for the first time, that barrier was gone. I felt like I was in another world, in another place. And I think one of the first things I watched, which was really, really transformational, was the New York Millions March that Vice News did. And I was with a reporter. I was walking around the streets, and people felt like they were pushing into me. I was like, I feel like I'm there. For once, I've got that experience of being in the heart of the story. And that's why it was really important for me. It means that you've got to be thinking about an experience and a whole complete experience, which is a very new way of thinking. It's not just about those sound bites. It's not about that close-up of someone's face that's really, really good. It's about creating everything. You have no way of knowing where people are going to look, and that's very, very challenging. It's not to say every story should be told in this way, and I'll get that out there right away. Jeremy Belson from Stanford's Human Virtual Interaction Lab, which do amazing, amazing things. He always says that not every story is suited for VR, and that's kind of true. There are, oh, there you go, that's the New York Millions March, which is really good. There's three things you need to be thinking about. If you're thinking about shooting something 360, spherical video, VR, you're looking at these 3 points. Places that are hard to get to, where people are unlikely to go. You're looking at being in a place where the space deepens one's understanding of the story, beyond just a written narrative, beyond the photos or the flat videos that we're used to. And things where it's essential to turn your head from side to side. Not all the time it is. If you're in the middle of a political rally, if you're in the middle of David Cameron talking in a press conference, we don't need to see everything else. We just need to see that one shot. So VR doesn't work for everything. It's where we need to be looking around, and that's going to enhance the story. Some of the best examples of VR that I can draw on are things like this, which goes back to that point of places that are hard to get to, places that people can't understand. That's why we've seen a lot of stories about the refugee crisis being told in VR. This is a program called Honor Everywhere. It's a startup company called StoryUp, based in Missouri. Sarah Hill is the chief storyteller there. And I love Americans because they do have that as a job title, chief storyteller, which I think is really, really cool. But Sarah Hill started this, and the Honor Everywhere program allows veterans who aren't able to travel to give them the opportunity to go and see memorials. And it's a brilliant program that's taken so many veterans around the States to places that they wouldn't be able to go to. We've seen other things with the military using VR for PTSD. We've seen hospices using it, helping people fulfill everything that's in their bucket list if they're not going to get the chance to go. I put a headset on my great-granny last year, and she'd been talking about the Cirque du Soleil. I said, oh, I've got a VR experience for that. So I put this headset on her, and she started watching it. And the technology didn't faze her at all. Did not bother her whatsoever that she had this headset on, completely unfazed. And all she could say was, that's exactly like it was. I'm on the stage now, and I can see these people swinging around. I can look up, and they're making contact with me. And it just didn't faze her. She just felt like she was there. And it's transporting people to those places that they wouldn't normally get to. It's all about breaking the rules. I like to do a bit of rule breaking now and again. We need new rules, we need new language, we need new forms of storytelling. I often talk about the bad examples of VR, and there's a lot of them. If you look through any 360 videos on YouTube, a lot of what you see is really bad. I've made a lot of bad VR experiences. I've made some good ones, but a lot of bad ones, because it is a case of playing. I talk a lot about Sky and their bad VR experiences. Have any of you seen the content that Sky have done in news? No? Okay. If you look at the Sky News VR app or the Sky VR app, their sports coverage is really, really good. Their news coverage, not so much, because it's lazy. Fundamentally, it's really lazy. They've done a normal story and they've just filmed it with a 360 camera. And there's no sense of discovering a new way of telling a story. I think they're starting to. But it's still not there yet. So they've taken a camera. This is a mini one that I always play with, which attaches to the phone. They've just stuck a camera up and done a story in the same way. And it's just bad. It's the same as when we started doing videos for online. News websites started doing videos. And I remember being told to put a video of a story that I'd done on a website. It doesn't work. You need a new way of telling a story for a different platform, so this is why we need this new way. TV doesn't translate into web, radio doesn't translate into TV, it's got to be different and it's got to be unique. So breaking the rules is really important. I'm not going to give you a list of things that you should do. if you want to go and make a VR experience. It's just about getting out there. There are no experts in this field. Anybody that tells you that they're a VR expert is simply lying. Nobody has figured it out yet. We are all just virtual playmakers finding a new way of doing things. But there are lessons that I've learned in making a lot of films in this way, which hopefully might help you. The first thing requires a very, very different shift in your mind. The camera is a person. The camera is not the lens that you're going to tell a story through. The camera is a person. This is one of my favorite little cameras, which is the Samsung Gear 360, which is a really good, affordable camera, which is very, very good quality. And it looks like a little person as well, so I always like using that image. When you put on a headset, you're doing it all through the perspective of the camera. So you've got to think about who that camera is in that world. I like to play with the ideas of embodiment and creating a story where you are a character in that environment, where you are part of the story and you can interact in quite a fake way, but you can pretend that you're interacting in that environment. Sometimes you're just a floating person. But you've got to decide who you are. There's ethical questions to be raised there. There's ethical questions about what it means to be someone else in the world. But we do need to think about who you want to represent in the camera. And that brings us to thinking about eye line. The camera is a person. It needs to be at the right eye line. So I've filmed things before where the camera is too high. So when you put on the headset, you're looking up all the time, so you feel like a really small person in the world. If it's too low, then you're a giant looking down. You've got to get the perspective right. One of the best kind of cinematic VR experiences is called Catatonic. Is anyone into horror films? Yeah? Watch Catatonic and you will scream. Catatonic is a film that was made about 18 months ago, and you are in a wheelchair. So the camera becomes the person in the wheelchair, and you're being pushed around this mental asylum, and you can look down and you can see your arms, or your virtual arms, in this wheelchair, and you can't move. You can look around and you can see all these really strange things happening, and this guy's pushing you through the corridors, and then you tower over the stairs, and it's really, really terrifying. It didn't help that when I watched it, I'd just been out for dinner with a group of people, and one of the people looked exactly like this scary guy in this film, and I watched it by myself in a hotel room in London, and then ripped off the headset screaming. So it is slightly terrifying, but it's a great experience where you understand what it's like to be someone else, and that's filmed from that perspective of the person being pushed through. So you've got to be careful around the eye line. This is a screenshot from a film I made in Hong Kong, where the eye line is purposefully too high. So you feel like you're being carried through this environment. It plays into the message of the film that we were trying to make. But you can see how that would make you feel high up. The second thing is stitching headaches. If anyone has tried to make VR, they will tell you, you're nodding your head. But what have you done? What camera was it? Okay, that one stitches itself, so you shouldn't have a stitching headache. But yeah, it's true. Stitching is awful. It's a skill. It's a skill that I'm not very good at. This was filmed with a GoPro rig. So if any of you nerd out about cameras, you'll know the GoPro rigs produce the best quality for 360. I have a couple that hold 7 cameras, 7 GoPros, 15 GoPros. You can imagine how many stitch lines there are if you're talking about 15 GoPros being stitched together to form one spherical image. That's never going to be easy. In here, hopefully, you can turn the volume down if you like, you can see the stitch lines. I should have played Spot the Stitch Line competition. There's a stitch line there, and here. You can see stitch lines all around. He was choking in this. This is set up to be a training experience for paramedic students. You could see her walking through the stitch line there. and her hand might go back. Yeah. So stitching always gives you a headache. They're massive files and they never really work. I love playing Spot the Stitch line with people because it's just really entertaining. It's a lot easier when you're using the Samsung cameras or when you're using these kinds of cameras. So this little one, which is very similar to the Samsung setup with 2 lenses either side, this forms your stitch line here. So where those 2 lenses meet, that's your stitch. So if I was filming here now like this, I would be half in and half out. And it would be really hard to get a continuous image, especially if I move around like this. So you want the actions. If I was filming this now, you'd want the camera to be here with a stitch line there where everything in that area is still. So there's no movement. The minute you start crossing that stitch line, you're going to be fading in and fading out. And it's kind of that ghost-like image. It's a little unnerving when people are going in and out of the stitch line. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's quite easy to think that it's a really big deal, and most people, it doesn't really bother them. It's the same when you started shooting on your phones. Providing you know how to film, it doesn't really matter what you film with. As long as you've got a good story and you're not making a mess of what you're doing and how you're shooting it, it's generally okay. So it doesn't always matter, but we've got to be careful about breaking the immersion. The other thing is fear of personal space. Okay, we've got a nice distance here, so we're all right. When people get in your face, it makes you feel uncomfortable. People don't like it. In this, for example, you can see what happens. Imagine this in a headset, so this view is all the way around you.
How much?
That's terrifying in a headset. He takes up, you can see the stitch line there, he takes up this full view. This is wrapped around you 360. That guy coming at you comes all the way around here. I stitched it and I edited it, and every time I watch it in a headset, it makes me jump because I feel, ugh, and I have to take a step back. So you've got to keep that line. The problem is these cameras don't have a great depth of field. So you've got to play it right. So you want it to be close, but not too close. So if I'm here, if I'm the camera, here is fine. So you've got that kind of distance. But you've got to be really careful about that. The good thing is these cameras, people don't really know what they look like. So lots of people come up and start looking at them and are quite inquisitive, which can help a story, but also can give that effect, which isn't so good. Movement. I mentioned catatonic as a good example where there is movement. Generally, we don't have movement in VR because it makes people feel sick. The golden rule of VR is you don't want people to feel sick. If you put on a headset and you have a bad VR experience and you feel sick, you're not going to put on a headset again. You're going to write off the technology and say, it's just a flash in the pan, no one cares about it. It makes people sick. So we don't want people to feel sick. If you have movement and you're watching an experience sat down, that disconnect between the head and your body isn't good. This film, we did have movement because I wanted people to feel sick. So that's slightly different. I wanted to create an uneasy kind of atmosphere. But generally, we keep the camera still. It's a bit different if you're making films for the Rift with the touch controllers or the Vive where you've got the room sensors and you can move around an environment. But generally, we don't want people to feel sick, so we don't move very much. And this is very different. So if I'm editing something in VR and then someone says, can you make a video of what you've done and we can show it in a talk? So, well, I can't really because I do things spherically. It doesn't work on a flat screen. And it definitely doesn't work when you have one shot that lasts 20 or 30 seconds. It looks really bad on a flat screen when it should be in VR. But generally we say one shot, let it breathe, and the shot should last about 20, 30 seconds. You want to give people time to be able to look around and then go back to something that they spotted to see the different things going on. Gone are those 3-second shots that we're used to. So it's a very different way of thinking about it. Are there any audio nerds? Okay, cool. God, you all should be. Audio nerds in VR are very, very sought after. Loads of jobs for all of them. Audio is so, so important when you're creating VR experiences. This film is really, really good to look at. It's a Facebook film with their big GoPro rig. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out and listen to it with headphones on, because it has lots of positional audio. It allows you to really turn your attention, and the narrative is directed by where the audio is. So you're in the middle of Grand Central Station, and you're watching this experience, and you're hearing different conversations, and you hear an argument kicking off between a couple leaving each other at the station, so you turn to watch them. And then you hear a child crying over here, so you turn back. So the director is telling you where to look based on the audio. And there's tools for Facebook if you like your audio. There's tools on Facebook, open source tools, to allow you to use positional audio within 360 films. It's quite complicated, but it's worth learning how to do it. And you can do that with stereo sound and manipulate it to link it to different areas. We are seeing a lot of that within VR. It's really hard as a filmmaker to let go of all control and say, I'm going to let you decide what the story's about. That's very, very hard for control freaks, which most directors are. Instead, you're letting the audience experience it as they want to. So to get over that, a lot of people use audio cues to direct. Has anyone seen New York Times The Displaced? No? Okay, that's another one to watch. New York Times did The Displaced to launch their VR app in November 2015. It's on the New York Times VR app. They do daily 360 content, so it's always worth checking out what they're doing. And The Displaced use things like having a plane flying over. You hear a plane up there, you're going to look to see what it is. You see this plane, and then there's a drop, an aid drop, and then you see everyone rush towards it. So it allows you to direct what's happening by using the audio, which is really important. Facebook have been really key in 360 and VR. They obviously bought Oculus Rift. Facebook 360 videos, 360 live, those kinds of things are really, really good. And social VR is really key. So this camera streams Periscope 360 live, which is great. You can then engage with the audience in 360. So as a tool for reporting, it's really, really important. I haven't got much longer left, so I'm going to talk briefly about Patrick Swayze. Just started with Britney, why not end with Patrick Swayze? We don't want to get to the Swayze effect. By the Swayze effect, I'm talking about Ghost, where you're in an environment and you can't interact with it. You're just floating, and nobody wants to be a floating ghost in an environment. So you've got to think about ways that you can interact with the audience. So using face-to-face content. I made a film a few weeks ago which didn't work at all, where we were interviewing different people in the market, and there was no connection with them. Really, when you're doing 360, you want that person to be talking directly to the camera. So in the headset, it feels like they're talking to you. That gives you the connection that you need, that really drives the connection and the empathy. Another way of doing it is adding in smells. And I haven't got much longer to talk about smells, but I do a lot of multi-sensory VR. So I do VR, and then I make smells to go along with the experience, which is really fun. So this should play, which will show you a bit about how important smells are within a VR experience. So imagine this wrapped around, obviously in a headset.
It was really hot. I felt like I was actually in those rooms. The smells were crazy. It made it really nice, actually. And when you spritzed me with the Febreze, I actually felt like I wanted to wave at the woman. I felt like she was right there with me.
And at one particular point, a guy was literally behind me and really sort of startled me, and he kind of came from nowhere.
Smells really added. You can even do more. You can make it like disgusting in some of the rooms you were in and stuff.
I was like putting my foot out to make sure there was, the floor was there.
I can see why you've got a chair. It's a good job you have. Otherwise, I'd have fallen over.
Smells kind of really added to the experience.
Okay, so we showed that down at the RTS in London in November, and we set it up in a tent. So completely low tech. We're talking about new emerging technology, and then we set up a tent with a heater in and different smells that we created to encompass that environment. But it did really help enhance presence, and it helped interactivity, and it helped people feel like they were there. Why do we care about it? I have this argument with a lot of people. A lot of people say, we don't really care about VR, it's just a flash in the pan, don't really get it, it's too isolated. It's really cool, and I'll say that a lot. It does help to create empathy. It helps to create a connection. It helps to understand different people's perspectives in a way that no other technology allows you to. It helps you to become somebody else in a virtual world and understand it and understand different people's minds. It's a new form of storytelling that allows us to play and find the right way of telling the story. And one interesting thing is this. It has the power to fight fake news. While we're in this whole fake news agenda in this post-truth world, could VR be the answer? It's quite interesting when you think about capturing a whole world satirically, everything that happens, especially when you take away the directed narrative. If you let people just experience something and develop their own narrative from that, does that help? We saw loads of coverage at the protests in the March on Washington with 360 content, loads of live 360 streaming for people to understand exactly what was happening. It might be the answer, who knows, but it's certainly worth thinking about. So that's it. Be the virtual playmaker and go and make stuff, and if you want to nerd out, come and see me afterwards.
Thank you, Sarah. A fascinating insight into virtual reality. And as I keep saying, if you think about it, just a few years ago, that was a skill that wasn't required or needed, but potentially could be the future of whether that's storytelling, news gathering, or in any other of the various creative industries that there are. Our final session is going to be shortly. I'm just going to give people a chance if anyone wants a quick comfort break. The toilets are to the right because we just need to put a few more chairs on there. But thank you, Sarah, for doing that insight into virtual reality. The final session is going to be about how ITV collaborated with UCLan to create a soap in a week, and I'm delighted that John Whiston, who is the MD of, I think it's titled right, Continuing Drama in the North for ITV, is going to lead this session with some of those who are involved in making soap in a week. So whilst we just quickly rearrange the stage to have John and a few others, if anyone wants a quick toilet break, take 2 minutes to do that. So John, if you can come to the stage and you can take the next session.
Well, I look at it myself as the beginning, really, of an exploration. That's the reason we're exploring. You don't know what you'll run into on an exploration. What the sky looks like, what the stars look like. Do they still twinkle, or are they a steady light when you get outside the atmosphere?
Make your own way through life.
Well, I look at it myself as the beginning, really, of an exploration.
Stars. Stars.
Well, I look at
stars.
Look like, what the sky looks like, what the stars look like. Exploration. Exploration.
1, 1, 1. Okay, if I can get everybody just sat down again for our final session of the afternoon. So as I said, the final session is called Soap in a Week, which was, or is, a unique collaboration between ITV and the University of Central Lancashire, who made a soap in a week. And I'm delighted that John has been joined by a number of his colleagues. So for the final time this afternoon, John, take it away.
Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you very much for coming to this. I thought I'd just begin by talking about the importance of soap, because I think everyone here probably thinks, well, we just, we're in our little villages or in our streets and we don't really affect the world. But I'd just like you to look at this. Kim killed brother in row over Emmerdale. This is the real reason for the prison... As I suspect you realise, this came from the Sunday Sport, which obviously is the journal of record where all truth is held. And it was from about, I think, the weekend before last. And essentially, the story reads, and there is actually a grain of truth in this, which is that Kim Jong-un had his brother murdered over a long-standing grudge because he was a big Emmerdale fan, and he used to get all the episodes sent out to him by, as it says there, an agent, a secret agent, who would presumably record them on VHSs in Yorkshire and send them out to him. And he was following the storyline of who killed Tom King, and it was about to be revealed that it was actually Carl, one of his sons. And unfortunately, Kim Jong-nam, his younger brother or elder brother, he recorded over on the VHS. And as it says here, he recorded over for Arsehole Party number 7, which was part of his porn collection, which everybody here must know is not a patch on Arsehole Party number 5, so I don't know why he did it. But as a result of which, he actually, he demanded that he be executed by his father, and his father had to intervene and saying, no, not on my watch, and certainly not, you're not using my anti-aircraft gun to execute him. So as a result of this long-standing grudge, eventually this was paid off, I think 2 weeks ago, when the unfortunate brother was killed in that attack in Kuala Lumpur. So that was just to make the point that, soap's tentacles reach very far into the world, and we don't just live in our own little bubbles. We actually cause world events that shock the world like that. Anyway, we decided to do something a bit unusual, and it was Mark's idea, brilliant idea. We'll come to that in a second. And we all went up to UCLan, and we created a soap in a week, literally in a week. We started on a Monday. In fact, less than a week, probably 5 days. We started on a Monday, like God, I suppose, and we rested on a Sunday, didn't we? We actually put it out on I think, we finished pretty much on Thursday night, and we transmitted to our audience on Friday. So it was an incredible achievement, and we brought up people from all different bits of the ITV soap making machine, and we had a fantastic bunch of unbelievably enthusiastic and completely brilliant students, so ending up with us getting as much out of it as I think they did. But before it started, people were a little bit worried. I mean, the actors in Emmerdale were worried that they hadn't been chosen for it, because we had Connor here and Tisha Mary, who I believe is in the audience somewhere, but we didn't have any Emmerdale actors. So we got this, we filmed this with one of them, which I think reveals their disquiet.
Yes, Adam, it's Danny. Listen, mate, I've just walked out of Emmerdale. I don't know, I've got a better offer, right? You heard of UConn? Yeah, you think UConn, right? They're making a better soap. It's in Preston. Think about it, it's closer to Manchester. It's better hours. They made the soap in a week, Adam, a week. So I've had it in your notice. Yes, your notice. You're no longer part of Emmerdale. You are now part of this new soap, Preston made by UConn, right? We're going to be the stars of the show. I'm on my way over there now. You better hurry up and meet me there. See you soon.
I mean, in his dreams. We had Coronation Street, so we didn't need Emmerdale. Let me introduce who we've got here. We've got Conor McIntyre, who you will know as a rather scary presence on Coronation Street, as Phelan. But Conor's got a lot of strings to his bow, and he's an artist, and he's done a lot of work with younger actors, and it was fantastic to have him on board. We've got Andrew Ireland, who's the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Culture and Creative Industries at UCLan, who threw open his studio and also The Lot, which is an amazing little row of houses, pub, shop, very much like a sort of miniature sort of thing that we normally shoot on, which I believe is also used for forensic students when they'll put a body there and they have to sort of dissect it or whatever forensic students do. So we weren't the only people to use it, but it was a fantastic facility. So UCLan threw that and their studios opened up, and it was a great place to work. Mark Bickerton, whose idea it was, who is head of our engagement, editorial engagement at ITV Studios, and he works a lot with groups of writers and storyliners, and we do workshops from time to time that where we take a bunch of people and we storyline what the next week of our soap would be. And it's really interesting for me sometimes to see what your ideas of what the next week would be in comparison to what the next week actually is. And sometimes I just think, oh God, if only we could shoot it again and use your ideas. But it's great because it's a really good exercise in working out how a soap is made and what the science of the soap is. And soap is this kind of weird amalgam of science and art. And very few dramas have quite as much science in them as soap does, and Mark is the past master at conveying that. And then we've got two, who are they? How do they get on here? They're not on ITV, well maybe they will be one day, but that's Sam Green and Ariana Scott, who were final year UCLan students, and they were our producers, and they were brilliant producers, I must say. They were on to everything. There was no slacking on their team. They drove a really tight ship, and also they got drunk at all the right places as well. So they're completely brilliant, just as producers are meant to do. That's why I'm a producer. But actually, forget that lot. I was the most important person there because my job was at about 10 o'clock at night was to go over the road and buy all the alcohol. And it is amazing what a great bottle of wine you can get for £2.89 in that shop across the road. I mean, perhaps only in Preston can you get quite such a fine bouquet of white wine for that bargain price, I'd say. Yeah, but that was my job. Everybody else did all the work. But it was an amazing bonding session as well. It was like, if you were sort of ran Google or sort of Microsoft or something, and you wanted your top executives to bond with each other, then just say to them, go and make a soap, because what you find about it is it suddenly reveals how interdependent you all are on everybody else. So there's no one person that's more important than the person who's recording the sound, because if you haven't got sound, you haven't got a show. No one person than the person who's turning on the lights, because if you haven't got lights, you haven't got a show. And it's incredible. It shows you what that jigsaw that we do every day of our lives, and it takes us out of that and makes us realize just how interdependent everybody is. We sometimes do live shows. We've got Robbie Sanderson here at the back, who has sat through and directed and orchestrated 2 live Coronation Streets. And they are an incredible experience, because you've got 400 or 500 people all doing bits and pieces. But if one person gets it wrong, then that's what the whole audience is going to talk about the next day. And so sort of everybody is both unbelievably nervous. Some actors are so nervous that they say, can I be in a coma in the bed, please? And you say, no, you've got to do some lines. But everyone is unbelievably nervous, but they're also unbelievably excited as well. And Robbie sits there, the master of ceremonies, and watches it all happen. And afterwards, it's kind of like World War I has just finished, and everybody that day, you know, on Christmas Day, when they all came out of the trenches to play football, everybody comes out of their little place and they're all shaking hands and, oh, you were great, yeah, I was great. And these are sound guys and lighting guys who've never spoken before in the eternity of the whole of television. Never have a sound guy talk to a lighting guy. And there they are hugging each other, best mates, passing the polar mints. I mean, it is an incredible experience doing a live show. But in a way, you know, what we do, because we do it at such speed, we don't have rehearsals on Corrie or Emmerdale. You know, every day is sort of a bit of a live show because, you know, you've got to deliver it. So anyway, that's you know, my sort of introduction. I'm going to hand over to Mark to just ask Mark, you know, how did the project come about? Why did we do it, and what did we really achieve from it, do you think?
Well, it's an interesting story, really, which I'm going to tell because as a soap writer, I obviously love stories, and it starts in the 1990s when I was invited to pioneer a brand new soap opera in Rwanda, which was going through a huge amount of upheaval and turmoil just post-genocide and trying to rebuild. And that project was made by a Rwandan team, guided by myself, from scratch, under very severe, traumatic circumstances. And I was there to provide training in all aspects of making a soap opera. And it was very successful. It's still running now. And it was aimed at changing lives. It was aimed at peace and reconciliation, giving off messages about health. And so in essence, it was to change and even save lives. And it certainly changed mine, not least because some of the horrors, some of the atrocities I lived through and suffered, and some of the traumas are still with me today. But it was an immensely rewarding job, and I came away from it with two things, really. Most saliently, it was that it changed my life in that I realised that anything is possible, and that I'd learned a lot about myself in that I was really driven by helping people and, you know, nurturing talent, and that I was pretty good at championing the underdog. And when I say that you know, under ridiculously severe circumstances, it was that politically. But I came away from it also thinking that if I do carve a career for myself in television, which was my ambition, I would like to do something like that, i.e. work under pressure and create something new from very little. And I was proud enough to become part of Coronation Street, part of ITV Soaps, which to this day I'm very passionate about, and in various guises through the years, 16 or 17 years or so, I was responsible actually partly or wholly to bringing in new talent and nurturing it, and some of those people have gone on to carve out more illustrious and certainly more successful careers than my own. But it was great, and that's great. And in one of the most recent guises at ITV, John invited me to fulfil the role of finding new editorial talent. And so this idea, which had been fermenting in my mind since the early 90s, it was poured out. And along came UCLan with its wonderful facilities and brilliant students. And so I pitched the idea to John, and he very kindly, I think at first you said it was either bonkersly brilliant or brilliantly bonkers, this idea of both, of creating a soap in a week from scratch. So when John endorsed it, and UCLan came on board, through a number of workshops and meetings and arguments and discussions, we started this thing and it just grew and grew. I thought initially it was just going to be myself with a handheld camera and do it like that. But then it grew so that lots of other practitioners in the field came along and mentored. And as John said, in the end it all worked well. And we were able on the Friday to show the world the first ever soap opera written, created and produced entirely by the UCLan students called Ribblegate, which I think we're going to see in a bit. And it was an immensely rewarding experience for me to come out of that soap bubble and work with people who hopefully are going to be the new practitioners and the practitioners of the future. Because ITV soaps, Emmerdale, Coronation Street, as brilliant as they are, they will be around forever. They'll certainly outlive me. And so in terms of the legacy of the project, if we can find, the new talent of tomorrow, that's really the point of it. And I know that we've had a number of people who've come in for work experience on the strength of this, not these, the two people to my left. And I'm hoping we can find more and more because we need them. And, if we continue to crack the oyster, we'll find a string of pearls for tomorrow. So that's really what it was all about.
Conor, you've been a professional actor for a long time. What was it like working with a bunch of amateurs?
I felt very at home, John, is the first thing I want to say. I just, very quickly, not to take up too much time, I know, just so you guys know, the students in the room, I actually just graduated with my Master's September last year, having completed my BA Fine Art History, and before that doing an access course. Now, I say that just to say, when I say I understand the student experience, I really do. And I've just come all the way through it. When I decided to become an actor, I made a quick analysis. I either go to drama school, invest that money, if they would have me, probably not, or hang around the local theatres, make a nuisance of myself and find my way that way. Like I say, everything the wrong way round, I was 31 plus. So, I actually fought quite hard, I think, John, to be a part of the team that was going up to UCLan. Because I think it's hugely important for you guys to have a dialogue with somebody, so to speak, who has been in the kitchen. And I say this with the greatest respect. The institution is the place where, hopefully, you will find out what you truly want to do. That will settle you. You get to do a bit of this, a bit of that, and you might want to start off acting, and then it's kind of lighting or sound or anything else. So that's for that. But my main place of interest is post the institution. So now, if I can make the analogy, a rather crude one, you pass your driving test, now you're going to learn to drive, which is how it works, right? So great to see you guys over at ITV. This is the real value yesterday. I haven't seen these guys a year ago.
Yeah.
And now in the hands of Alan Grint, Tony Prescott is. Yeah. I mean, that's the real resource. Those guys who've been at the sharp end of it for many, many years. You can't learn that anywhere. Again, with the greatest respect, there is not an institution or a tutor in the world that will teach you to be anything more than average, in my opinion. How you develop this 3 pounds of porridge in between your ears, develop an attitude to your work, is the key thing that will make a difference. So, I'll come back to your question. It was fantastic working with young actors. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And could they take the pace, a few oldies?
For absolutely boundless energy. Great. We'd like to see them over 5 days and then, full days. But great. And actually, in the process of that, you could see certainly a couple of them go, I'm not really sure the acting thing is where I want to be. Yeah. You could see them observing somebody else, either directing or lighting, going, I think I'd kind of quite enjoy that, which is the real value of it.
Yeah, I've always fancied doing sound, but my arms aren't strong enough to hold it as well. It is interesting because what we're talking about is Coronation Street, 56 years old, Emmerdale, 40, whatever it is. We were just spent another 12 million, or just spending another 12 million building a whole lot more Coronation Street over there in order to go to 6 episodes. It ain't going to stop anytime soon, and yet we're all getting quite old. So the message there is, it's going to be there for you when you are ready for it at a particular point in your career. And it doesn't have to be when you come straight out. You can go and do other things. And I think that was one of the messages that we said, just think about it. We'll be there a long time, at least another 56 years, I would have thought. And so, it's going to be there for you when you're ready for it. I think what we'll do before we talk to everybody else is we might show the app. Now, it's 20 minutes, I think, 18, 20 minutes, something, which is actually pretty much the same as an actual episode of Emmerdale. Emmerdale or Corrie are something like 21 minutes long once you've got the ads in them. So it was a kind of real exercise. We didn't have any story when we started, no thought on what the story would be. There was debates about where it would be set, what it would be about, what the characters would be about, who the characters would be. But we also sort of wanted to make it as self-contained as possible, so that when you saw it, you felt you were coming into like the 3rd or 4th ep of a continuing drama that it was just launched that week. So not, one of those awful eps where, hello, Connor, nice to see, where everyone's saying each other's names so that you can remember who's who. So not, we were trying to avoid all that. So I won't really describe who everybody is, because I think it's quite, self-contained, and you can kind of pick up from the relationships that people have. But we wanted to have that feel of that there had been stuff that had come before it, and that there's stuff that's going to come after it. And the most important thing about any soap is the tag at the end of the soap that makes you think, oh God, I'm going to have to watch tomorrow. I'm going to have to watch tomorrow. And in that, I think, everybody did brilliantly. But we took a few archetypes. There was a little bit of that thing of some of the actors that we had. The writers wrote a little bit for those actors because they found something in those actors, and vice versa. The actors found things in the script that fitted their characters. And that's very true to life. That's what our writers on Corrie and Emmerdale do. They sort of, someone's described it as a game of tennis, that they'll lob a line at an actor, and an actor will lob it back with just a little topspin on it, and then the writer will lob it back with well, actually, it's table tennis, and I'm going on about table tennis. Anyway, it's a game of tennis between them until they get that actor gets the part right, and the writers get the part right, the character right. So, and we did quite a bit of that, and we did it very intensely with lots of alcohol at night. And here is the
Have I got
thing.
to ask
Yeah, absolutely.
One more thing about that. I will never forget the moment when we arrived up at UCLan. So the guys who had written the script, the storyliners, I think you were in the room as well. The first time that those writers passed the scripts over, gave them to us actors, the guys from Emmerdale, Tish and myself, to hear their words and the work that they'd been doing weeks and weeks before, finally lifted off a page by actors. I will never forget that feeling in that room. It was palpable. The thrill, was it not? It was, I mean, for the whole, just there right then in those seconds, the whole week. Sorry, the whole talk.
No, absolutely, bring it together. And one other thing is we had probably our biggest arguments were about the title, and everybody spent ages, and that's actually true to life as well. You spend more time arguing about what the title is going to be, and you usually come back to the first one that you thought of. But it is called Ribblegate, and we'll show it now.
this recording that you relax deeper and deeper.
Great. Thank you. And in case you think that's a lot of people to make a soap, that's probably about the same number as we have making our soaps. What was interesting? What was interesting about that? A couple of things. One was, I mean, I could have told you that a plot line from an earlier ep was that the evil bitch's brother had committed suicide because he was gay, and Connor's character was his lecturer and didn't encourage him to talk about it, and so she blamed him for that suicide, and she was inveigling her way into the family in order to do some devious things to get back for her. Get some revenge for her brother who committed suicide. But what's interesting is I don't think you needed to know that. You just needed, and that's the same with soap. You just come into it, you kind of get people's emotions and their motivations, but you don't necessarily know all of the backstory because you've just turned on that week, or you missed a bit or whatever. And that's why it's so great, you know, that you can that there's an immediacy to what everybody does. The other brilliant thing, I think, which is something I keep on telling them to do on Corrie and Emmerdale, and they don't do enough of, is nicknames. I don't know anybody in the village in Scotland who's actually known by their actual name. One is called Prop because he mends all the propellers on the boats. One's called Soup for reasons I don't know. Everyone just calls him Soup. There's Chuggy. Everyone has nicknames. So I love that Stretch was called Stretch and not his real name, because that's exactly what real life is like. I keep on saying to Emmerdale they need more pets and they need more nicknames, and nobody ever listens to me. But anyway. I mean, it's hard to explain just how difficult it is to get a sort of 20 minutes of drama onto screen in a week that looks like it's sort of meant to be there. I mean, an incredible hard task, and everybody who took part in it did brilliantly well. Andrew, from your perspective, what do you think doing Soap in the Week did for the students and for UCLan?
Well, it's hard to know where to start, really. It was an amazing experience for everyone involved. It was great to welcome so many people from ITV, and it was a great experience in terms of collaboration and teamwork for our students and our staff to work with professionals from ITV to create this in a very short amount of time. It was very unique, and because of that uniqueness, that's the word which we keep coming back to with this project. It's a very unique project. It meant that everyone gave it 1,000,000%. So whereas sometimes people think, well, students are known for sort of dragging themselves in at 10 o'clock in the morning and going to the bar and so on. I mean, it really was, but the working day was 6 o'clock in the morning, all the way into the night. For a concentrated burst of time. And I mean, higher education is all about challenge and opportunity. So it's up to us in universities to create opportunities. That's my job in the faculty, to create opportunities for the students. And it's up to the students to take on the challenge, the personal challenge, to stretch themselves. And by looking at the output and by looking at how people acted and how they were over that week, and since then everyone was 1 inch taller by the end of it, 1 inch closer to where they want to get to, and it gave them that confidence. So I think it gave a great sense of teamwork, which goes on to this day. It's really left a real legacy for the students and the staff, which we can build on, and it gave a lot of people a lot of confidence to reach where they want to get to.
I mean, I think that's what came over to us was that notion that what we started with was people with a lot of skills, but by the end of the week, people just knew what they were doing and they just got on and did it, and they did it brilliantly. And there was no side. Nobody had a sort of, oh, you can't tell me what to do because I do it, all that sort of thing. I mean, the title music was composed in a week, and we had two agonizingly good bits of title music. We couldn't decide which one was going to fit best, and we took ages to decide, but people just came up with it, and there it was, and we went into the studio and there it was. The titles, somebody went out and took the photographs and made that all happen, and so it was just it was love. And even people who weren't involved in the actual drama. There were people making a documentary about the making of drama. There were a lot of photographers. You couldn't actually eat a sweet without having a photographer point a camera at you to try and get an interesting angle on you eating a sweet, all of which went into different projects that people were doing. So it was a great way of sort of bringing lots of different projects together. But Sam, I'll come to you first. I mean, in between, where you were always going off to play rugby or something in between, but I don't know where you got any of the energy from. But what was it like for you to work on?
I think when I got told about the experience going to be happening, it was just. First of all, I didn't really believe it and didn't understand how it was going to work. I thought it was just going to be ITV professionals coming in, saying, this is how you do it, they'll get on with it, and we just watch them. But from Monday morning when I came in, it was nothing like that at all. It was just straight away, it was like, right, we need this still, we need this still, we need them to go there. Okay, what do I do? And I think that was the whole thing about it. It was just... Every second of the day, there was something to do. Everyone had something to do, and if you didn't have anything to do, somebody would tell you to do something. So, yeah.
Ariana, did it differ a lot from what you imagined as a real drama production would be, from an industrial machine of a drama production?
Well, I guess so, because it happened in a week. Whereas, I guess in Coronation Street, Emmerdale, obviously they record, it doesn't come out for months, and it goes through this massive editorial stage as well. So that kind of took me by surprise, the fact that we actually managed to do it. In terms of the professionals, I can't believe how casual everyone is. Everyone always says it to you that people that are in the industry are normal people, and when you meet people that are in the industry, you're always really, I personally am always a bit apprehensive to meet them, a bit like, I want to make a good impression, but everyone was just so casual, and as soon as you introduce yourself, they were your friend, and I think that's what took me by surprise of how nice, and it was nice. I would never imagine students getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to this thing, but everyone wanted to. That was the point. We weren't made to. The call time could have been 9 a.m, but guaranteed there's still students there at 7 a.m. ready to go, because we just wanted to get on with it, because it was a nice environment to be in. And I think that's what took me by surprise the most. And it's kind of opened my eyes to the industries like that too, where you become like a family of crew. So.
I think that is true really about soaps, but once you work on them, they do become your family. They have lemon drizzle cake competitions, which people do. Everything happens on the soap. It kind of is a total substitute for your family while you're there. We've got Robbie at the back there. I just thought I'd ask you. Robbie is head of production for Coronation Street, so he makes the whole of Coronation Street happen. Robbie, from you came up a lot, and a lot of your crew were there, a lot of the mentors there. What's it like from a sort of mentor's perspective? What was it like as an experience?
Well, I think you touched on it. We call it a family at Corrie, and with our colleagues over in Emmerdale, we called for volunteers to go up. The mentors got, if not as much, probably more, working with the students. Mm-hmm. They still talk about it. I know Sam's sitting in the office with me at the moment and going out with the units. It is an amazing experience to share our experience, because not everyone knows what we do. And I think when we were given a challenge, and that's the other thing, whether it's to make a live show for an hour and convert our studios, because at that point we can't shoot our normal studios. We have to convert them and then reconvert them back again into the way we're doing it. We just enjoy a challenge. And when John mentioned he needed a crew, we actually had more volunteers than we could send up. And all of them, the buzz was great. I went up a couple of times and it really felt good. And I know from talking to Tisha and Connor and other colleagues that went up, as well as the crews that went up, they really enjoyed the experience. Like Alive, we're always up for the challenge. We'd do it again. Just don't ask us just right now.
Mm-hmm. I think what I say about it is, what's the relevance for people here who haven't being on it. I think the relevance is just this, that it is, in terms of getting a job, it's what Connor said, it is all about attitude. You know, most people are quite good at things, but actually you just need a slightly different attitude. And that attitude, I always use the example of somebody once sent me an idea and I kind of didn't reply to it. And then, it just went to the bottom of the thing. It was an okay idea. And I did reply. I said, I'll get back to you. And then a year later, I hadn't done anything about it. And I got a birthday card sent to that idea. Dear idea, you're one now. How does it feel to be, I suppose you just spent your last year in a drawer in John Whiston's office. Never mind, maybe next year will be your year. Lots of love. And it was a thing. Now, because of that, I could not get the person in. I could not see them. I could not talk to them. And actually, they got a job. They were a researcher on something, and then went on to something else. And that's what I mean about attitude. We're actually very, very easy to get to, much more easy than you think. But the attitude that we're looking for is people who are passionate about that particular thing that they do. Whether that thing is moving the camera, there were people who are passionate about that at Euclid. Whether it being in front of the camera, whether it's about recording the sound, whether it's about doing a bit of music. Just be passionate about it. Come to us, and that's what we will recognise when we're looking for people to work on our shows.
Just pick up on that, John. I mean, one of the things that really impressed me about the week and the run-up to it was that, I didn't say too many things in terms of stipulating what the show was going to be about or what roles were going to be performed by whom. It all came from the students. But one thing I was keen on saying was don't waste the opportunity to press the flesh of the ITV mentors coming in and get to know them. They are approachable. You're right. We're only human beings. They're approachable. They know their stuff. Learn from them and don't be afraid to ask. And through the week, I was really delighted and very impressed with the maturity that the students showed in that regard and the respect they had for people who had been doing the job for a long, long time. I'm learning from their anecdotes in terms of their mistakes, because we all make mistakes, and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Certainly don't be afraid of consulting people who are in the business.
I think we'll end by showing a tiny little film about the making of. But Connor, I know one of your biggest regrets was that you didn't get to murder anybody during the episode. Was it something that you'd do again? Was it so?
For sure. And I forgive me, the people in the room that bumped into me more than twice. I'll say it again. Find what it is that you truly want to do, and do it like Hercules.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's show a little film that was made by other students about the making of.
I'm really impressed with UCLan. I think that the facilities are just amazing, and actually this lot is astonishing. I mean, you could genuinely film a soap on here.
Everything's okay.
Very, very, very excited. I don't know how to put that into a full sentence. I'm very excited.
The unknown, how's it going to finish? What's the end product going to be like?
End of the day, this little book, I swear to God, away from
I swear to God,
if this were my book.
How do you feel then, Phil? He's so proud of you.
I'm relieved that we've got the script out. It's great, yeah. And now it's going to get really interesting.
We're not finished yet. We've done one scene of 12, but everything points in the right direction for me.
Darling, hold my hand. Oh, won't you hold my hand?
It's been nice to hear everyone's story and what they want to do, and it's amazing that we can give someone experience.
I wanted an insight to kind of how you guys are going to go and do it, because it's such a high pressure environment that we work in day out, and to actually see how you've actually took it on, it is really impressive, and in fact you've actually blown me away, to be fair, so yeah, it's been a pleasure to be a part of this.
Love getting to know everybody, yeah, it's basically like being back at work.
It's an amazing opportunity for our students and staff to work with media professionals from Media City and ITV on a really groundbreaking project.
I can't believe that they've chosen UCLan to come first. I just think it's going to be amazing.
I just feel quite privileged even to be part of this. I mean, we're co-producers together, and I feel that it's something that I want to be when I'm older, and I'm just going to make the most of every opportunity.
It's been challenging, it's been demanding, but it's been everything that we expected, and we're absolutely loving every minute of it, every 24 hours of it a day.
These students are, you know, if you like, the Mark Bickertons of the future, and they can, if they really want to, form a career in television.
Yeah, if anyone can, UCLan can.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I think that's it. Unless anyone's got any questions.
Time for one quick question if anybody's got one. No?
Okay. No.
Do you think it actually helped? Sorry. Do you think it actually helped students bond together? Do you think it was a huge bonding experience? Because I was there on the Friday night, John, and I think it also has a subtext to this in that it brought many students together and possibly even crew who wouldn't normally be together. And I just wondered how that felt.
Well, I would say on a student front that when I did that, I was in my second year, and I feel now that in my final year, I can approach other areas of creative industries a lot easier. So working with the actors, working with hair, makeup, dancers, it's just so much easier that we made this bond whilst making this, and we have friends in different parts of the university that we weren't connected as well before this.
I think the after party on the Friday kind of showed how well we all.
I was referring to that.
Yeah, but it was.
Got him on Sambuca shots, and I think that's all that needs to be said.
But it was after the after party that was really good, you know.
Yeah.
For me, it was like the closest was putting a play on at Edinburgh, you know, or being involved in Edinburgh Festival. You know, I come from Edinburgh, done a lot of that. But it's that sort of thing of, you know, you start with a kit of parts, and you actually become something. You know, you become this well-oiled machine. WD-40. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, well, absolutely, very collegiate. It ended up now, and already I'm meeting people in the room. The students that right 12 months ago. Hey, and so already that it started, that spreading out of, and hopefully you'll be employing me in a few years up the road. May as well get my pitch in now, John.
Me too.
Just throw it out there, guys. Just in case.
Yeah, good runner. I'm a very good runner. I make great tea.
But absolutely, good question. Really, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great.
Listen, that is it. Can we just show an appreciation to John, Connor, Mark, Andrew, Ariana,
Thank you.